Tyrus. Late start, y'all. What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Oh, it's like sunlight in here. How pretty. Hey, folks. Good to see you. Welcome in. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a good weekend. Welcome to the Tomato Cave or something. I totally didn't have a name prepared for that. Well, welcome to my stream. Straightforward enough. Hope you guys had a good weekend. It's back. We're back to work, back on the clock, back to talking about nonsense for a nonsensical amount of time in order to reach nonsensical fun. Hope you're enjoying yourselves. We got some things to go over today. I'm actually gonna switch things up a little bit. Gonna diversify a bit. Gonna have some good fun. What we're gonna do is today we're talking about Star Citizen. Big surprise. Wow. Holy crap. We're gonna talk about this update 4.0. It's now It's December 9th. We are a third of the way through this month. We are wave 1 of PTU, and the big question on everyone's mind, okay, not everyone's mind. Many people have already made their minds up. 4.0 is not coming out this year. The question on a lot of people's minds, though, outside of that, is it going to reach live this month, or are they going to try and do something else? And I'm thinking a lot of people are expecting that open PTU by the end of the year, and then sort of like they did with 3.18. So we're going to look at what they're offering with 4.0, what's planned. We are going to look at apparently the 3.17.2 patch notes for some reason. How did I get here? Somehow I got the 3.17.2 patch notes up here, when it should have been the 4.0 PTU patch notes. That's weird. There we go. This is the link that should be here. Wait, yeah, why does this link to 3.17.2? What the? Somebody linked the wrong link here. Unless, oh my god, it's PTU. My research is terrible. I'm a horrible PTU researcher. I'm gonna tell you how stupid the mistake I just made was. I searched for 4.0 Wave 1 PTU, Wave 2 PTU, in order to get a post with the patch notes, because it's so dang. I still have so much trouble going to the Star Citizen website to find these things. And so I'm looking here and I say, oh yeah, PTU Wave 2 open. Oh sure, that must have been posted just a couple weeks ago. No, this was posted 2 years ago. And I'm like, oh, this must be the brand new one that just went Wave 2 a couple days ago. And no, here we are. And I still didn't pay attention. And I got all the way to here. And now we have a Spectrum page looking at 3.17.2. So, y'all ready to talk about 3.17? Good times ahead? Live by the 20th, even if it's on fire. Well, after we do talk about the patch notes of 4.0, we're actually going to look at old updates. This is I think this is the less explored but more exciting 68%. Yeah, right. More exciting way to look at what might happen here is what they've done in the past. Because everybody says, yeah, they like to drop bad patches at the end of the year and then go on break and never touch them. But as we go through these patches over the last several years, you will realize that is not entirely true. And so there are a couple different things they might do. After that, we're going to go look at 3.0's release. Yeah, we're going to talk about how 3.0 came out and what people were saying back then, because it's pretty funny, the reaction to that patch. That's 7 years ago now, December 23rd, 2017. It's been a cool minute. So it'll be, yeah, we'll talk about 3.18 a little bit too. Once we're done with that, we're actually going to jump out of Star Citizen and talk about a couple other space games. One of the things I really would like to do next year is start to talk more with you guys about other games I like, and maybe other games you guys like. We've tried this a little bit in the past. It depends on my own timing and how I do it, so I'll be a little bit better about that. But I want to introduce other chances for us to play other stuff, talk about other stuff. We have other channels in the Discord, so not to like pull away from Star Citizen or anything, but just have a little more fun, you know? I come from a sci-fi RPG background. I'd like to still be able to play those games. So, after Star Citizen today, we will be talking about Exodus. which is a game I've had my eye on for a little while. We've talked about this a little ways back. A couple different times we've talked about this now. We had a little bit of a look, but I want to do a more of an in-depth look today. And maybe it'll be an introduction for some of you to this new game. Maybe it'll be more of the same from you guys, but a chance for us to like talk about it as a community and get into it, see if see if it's going to be interesting. It comes from a lot of developers that come from other games that we really like, so there's some chance that it could be really good. But I'm also not convinced yet. So we will touch on this and see what's going on there. And then finally, we will finish off the day talking about updates to X4. This is another game that I'm considering looking a little bit more into. It's actually one that we've done on stream before. You can go and find the past stream on my YouTube channel. But we didn't follow up with it. And I was waiting for a good time to follow up with it. I actually thought this game was on the way out when I bought it. And it was just kind of like a long-term game you could jump into if you wanted to. But they've just released a roadmap for X4 that goes all the way into 2026. And they're looking at overhauling the flight model, rebalancing ships, new graphics, NPC updates, new missions, a whole bunch of stuff that actually is sounding really interesting. And it's single player, which, yes, Star Citizen and MMO, but I am generally a single player person, despite what folks on my YouTube comments will say. I prefer a single player game. So this, I think, would be really interesting to have kind of to play whenever maybe things slow down with Star Citizen. So we're going to talk about this and what's going on here. Interesting tidbit here. They just picked up John Pritchett, who was the guy who was working on the Star Citizen physics flight model all the way back before David Coulson took over, which I think was like 2018 or so. So up until around like 3.5 to 3.8 time, this guy was building the flight model for Star Citizen, who's now working on it for X4. So that should also be an interesting development to watch, but we'll touch on that towards the end of today. Let's start with 4.0 though. Again, thank you for joining me. Got some news to go over today, a good talk. This will also be kind of a Q&A about 4.0, so if you guys got any questions, feel free to throw them out. Remember, use the brackets, do all the things, be all the kindness, and should be a good time. X4 equals old Star Citizen expectation. I mean, maybe if X4 was multiplayer, I think Jump Ship actually hits really close to what Star Citizen was kind of telling people they could do. Look at nebulous. That sounds pretty nebulous to say. Good day, Anno. Good to see you. X4 is a game you really want to play, but you don't have the time to get into it. It can take a while, but it's a very cool game. Because you're basically starting it out as a third person, or I think maybe first person pilot of a ship just doing small missions. By the end of your playthrough, you're like commanding a whole fleet. And that's what people want from like people who are angry about Star Citizen and the way that it's trying to make itself work really need to try and look at some of these other games, because they're actually really good for very specific things people are looking for. If you want to run co-op missions and not get disrupted, Jump Ship's great. If you want to control a fleet of NPCs that go out and do your bidding for you, X4 is awesome. You want to explore new planets and star systems, Elite Dangerous, fantastic. Like, there are choices in the industry, which is lovely. Hey, Nemo. You didn't get warm with X4 because the control configuration is pretty much non-existent. I couldn't stand the UI or the graphics. I'm glad to see they're doing a graphical update, though. I hope it's significant. It's nice to be able to pause a single-player game. Am I happy with my last video? I'm happy with what I made. The reception's good from what I can see. People watching the whole video, I guess what I was explaining to stream on Monday, either the people who were in stream maybe weren't understanding what I was saying, or you guys didn't have all the context. I don't know. But the people who are like watching the video seem to be getting it. And so I am happy that my point came across. and that I wasn't completely off, like I was kind of feeling like I might have been. I will say that I think in my video, I didn't focus enough on the fact that I don't know. I haven't looked too much at the comments. I try not to be honest anymore. It can be a lot. The thing that I noticed most is that people are still unhappy about the flight, the speeds that we're flying at. And I'm glad that people are saying that in the comments, because that means that I made it clear. But maybe it wasn't also clear enough that you could change those speeds. I think ultimately the biggest thing is that, like, what they said, again, wasn't clear enough. Not in the sense that it didn't describe what they were talking about, but it left a lot of holes in the discussion. Too many holes. It's like Swiss cheese. And if there's one thing that Star Citizen players don't like, it's holes. So they I'm sorry. They need to fill in the blanks there and give us some more details, I think. But I'm glad that the video is getting the reaction that it is, whether that's anger or not. The fact that it's communicating my point to people is the most important. And it sounds like that's what's happening. A0, thank you for the sub. 11 months, man. Almost a year. Dude, are you lined up perfectly with just like the calendar year? That's quite nice, huh? Mace, you though, 25 months. You've been around, man. Since CitizenCon 2022, huh? Crafting hype. Crafting hype. Yeah, that was Lycos watched that video and he was laughing because he was like, oh, this isn't a master modes video. This is a crafting video in disguise. And I'm like, there you go. That's really the key. I actually got a really funny comment on Twitter. Somebody said, somebody replied to that video and said, what did they say? They said something about like, I really wish you would understand. Didn't I? I feel like I screenshotted the comment. Yeah, here it is. This person said, you need to stop and really consider how your negativity affects the overall project. Do you really want the project to fail? Because that's what you are effectively doing. I didn't know I had the capability of single-handedly tanking Star Citizen, but like, to be quite honest, I appreciate the praise, I guess. That's insane. But okay. That's like, it's like being that's literally the definition of I'm angry at the messenger. Like, I'm telling you what they're doing. I'm not saying that they're doing something bad. I think I did say in the video that I was bummed they didn't like take master modes all the way to its end game, kind of what they had planned. But I don't think that crashes the game. You used to be skeptical, SC, but you changed your mind. You think the intention is that you can get up to nav speeds using boost, not quantum boost, just the regular hydrogen fuel boost? Could be wrong. That would be nice. That would be a huge boost range, though. That'd be like 1,000 meters per second of boost range. You hope X4 will get a good character model overhaul. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the people in that game are pretty ugly. The majority of players are solo with family and work at 5 to 7. The majority of players are going to play with groups and by themselves at some point. That's just... I think that's probably the most important thing that CIG probably has in mind very, very clearly. They're like, we got to make content for both, which I think makes it great. It's a good idea. One of the most positive content creators? No. Bad AK. You think the person watched the wrong video? No, you guys would be surprised how many people are like believing me to be pretty negative about this game at this point. I like a lot over the last couple of months. People have been saying I've just completely changed Somebody finished off a comment like 2 months ago and they were like, we miss the old tomato. I had to wipe away a tear for that one. What was the response on Blue Sky? Just like discussion. To be honest, the overall vibe of Blue Sky so far is really nice, but it's brand new, so that's probably why. Oh, it's not brand new, but it's just now getting more popular. Yeah, over there generally everything I post just like is more kind of discussion. And that's not to say that's not the way it is on Twitter. That was one comment out of many on Twitter. Just toes. That was a very funny one. You don't agree with Tomato about the flight model, but this was one of the most balanced places in the community. Oh, that's fine if you don't agree. Should be named a salty tomato. Dude, tomatoes are really good with salt. Honestly, I don't like tomatoes without salt. Have you ever had a caprese salad without salt? It's just cheese and tomato. It's like wet cheese. Who wants water cheese for lunch, you know? Like, the salt helps to reverse osmosis that. And it's good stuff. Yeah, Blue Sky's chill. I've been having a good time over there. Surprisingly, the posts that I make on Blue Sky will get more engagement than Twitter sometimes. And Twitter is 10 times as big for my profiles. You want to know where the folks start stating that the most players are PvP, PvE, solo, or group play? Their feelings and project it on the whole community. I have no doubt that there's more people. There's more people in the world who want a solo player experience than a multiplayer experience. Like, I believe that 100%. I'm not convinced it's true for a game like Star Citizen because that game specifically attracts probably more multiplayer people, so it's likely more balanced. But I wouldn't go out on a limb and say there's more of one or the other. I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is that not every person, just about everybody is going to try both styles of gameplay. It ain't hard to. The difference between solo player and multiplayer is getting in your ship and flying up to the space station in your Aurora, or getting in your ship and flying up to the space station in a C2 Hercules. It's still multiplayer. You're still with another person. There will still be things to take into account that you don't have to if you're just by yourself. And it's just important to know that. Caprese without olive oil? Good call. You do need some olive oil. But it's not watery, right? It's not watery cheese. Master the art of patching without breaking everything else. The salt in caprese is in the mozzarella, not in the tomato. Buddy, the salt in caprese is coming straight from my salt shaker in my hand, and it's not stopping until it's thick. It's more salt than you could want in whatever you're eating if it's coming to me. I know. I gotta look out for my veins and my arteries and stuff. I gotta start eating more comfortably. I don't know about y'all, but comfortably, healthfully. I eat pretty well, actually, because Mrs. Tomato is an amazing chef, and we have a lot of great foods when we have our own kitchen. Obviously, living with parents makes things a little more complicated, but I eat pretty well. But I'm not gonna lie, when every once in a while I still eat like I'm 18. Yesterday I sat down and put away 2 chocolate bars while I was sitting in one sitting, and then I was like, I stopped and I turned to Mrs. Tomato and I was like, I can't do that again. Like that's like the last time in my life I should probably do something like that. But every once in a while you just gotta splurge a little bit. Well, every once in a while up until now. Now I'm done. Until next time. The old Tomato used to play at 15 FPS without complaining. Dude, we're about to go and look at the 3.0 launch today. Like, that's one of the things we're talking about. And you will literally see some of the complaints here. That you're getting like 8 to 17 FPS, 0 to 3 FPS. We're about to talk about the absolute pain that was the launch of 3.0 that I think will probably make the launch of 4.0 look much better. but still give you an idea of just how like rough that kind of update can be. I try to be middle ground. I will 100% recognize, acknowledge, and tell everybody I talk to before I get into discussion that I'm very positive about Star Citizen. That's why I'm here. It's like this crazy occurrence happened where I liked the game, so I started making videos about it. You know? And that definitely weighs on my content. I generally make content about things that I like more than things I don't like, but I try to at least, you know, acknowledge the things that maybe are being a little bit weird. Like it's hard. It's a hard balance to hit because I'm not a game developer. I'm not a pro. I haven't been in this industry. I don't know what is actually right and wrong based on what they're doing. I just know what I feel, and making content based on what you feel is a easy way to honestly just straight up get canceled. Whoa! One day you're also going to be a chunker space daddy with a 20-meter long beard. Wait, you tell me I'm going to be able to grow more facial hair than this? Oh, that's good tea, Mrs. T. Thank you for bringing it. Game dev of 23 years. Congrats. What's the longest you stayed on at any one company? Just curious. 3.0 was awful, but mind-blowing because of the full moons. Warren, I am glad to see 3.0 folks in chat. In fact, quick poll, show of the hands. But like hands in chat, like show your hands by typing something into chat. That's how we do it. How many people were playing when 3.0 came out? 7 years ago. The end of 2017. When they literally dropped the patch on toes. On toes, that's right. No, they dropped the patch on December 23rd. How many of you were there for that? Hello, Luna Maria. Good to see you. Dune Spice Harvesters and SC. 6 years at failing indie dev. Hey, if you're still doing it, that's not failing, my friend. High def. 3 years for you. Very nice. Very nice. Chronic, you were there. Adnan. Cool. Vastin, of course. I know you were there. Roush, you were there. Synced. Caboose 2.0. Very nice. Fenrir. Elusive Spartan. Mike. Funkmaster. High Def. Martin. 2.1. Okay. Cue Balls. Nemo. Whole bunch of you guys were out here for back then. It's good to see. That's good to see. You hear a lot of people say that like all the folks that were here back in the beginning, back in the early days of Star Citizen, they're all gone. They've given up. It's not what they like. And I know some of you might be from the early days might be unhappy with maybe what Star Citizen looks like right now, but it's still good to see you here. Good to see you following and paying attention. I think it's good to have a diversity of opinions from the different times of Star Citizen's development. That way we can always get opinions and perspectives from the different styles Star Citizen has courted. You just go into sleeper mode from time to time. Very nice. EE Studios, one of my favorite Star Citizen machinima crew. Folks, if you're on YouTube and you see that EE Studios profile there in YouTube chat, do yourself a favor, go to their YouTube channel, subscribe, and watch one of those videos later, after the stream. But definitely watch it. Very good. I would say up there with some of the best Star Citizen machinima there is. And honestly, I think Star Citizen machinima is going to be, if this game does well, Star Citizen machinima I think could be one of those takeoff branches for this game that's not really expected. I personally want to get into machinima. I want to do the acting in machinima. I want to produce and publish and write my own at some point. Very, very fun to do. Cinematography in Star Citizen is a blast, and this game gives you so many tools, but holy crap, trying to shoot a scene is like Oh man, they're like, yeah, you take, it's an hour for every 10 seconds in real life. It's like 10 hours for 10 seconds in Star Citizen. The game does not want you to film things, and it makes that very clear. Private servers and modding. I think that kind of stuff's going to happen in Arena Commander. Bed Bananas War for Jumptown is what you use to try and convince COD fans to play. I would avoid that though, because Bed Bananas videos don't really represent what the game actually plays like. Like, plenty of editing, plenty of extra sound effects thrown in, and very much staged in some ways. But there are moments in that video that definitely show, like, you get those Star Citizen moments. But I think it'd be kind of like showing a very fancy Battlefield playthrough, and then telling people this is what you're going to get if you play Battlefield. Like, that's what you get if you play Battlefield 100 hours. And that's like a quarter of that. That being said, it is very convincing. Okay, shall we talk about 4.0? Enough about me. Let's talk about you. Yeah, the next red versus blue, honestly. Something like that could come from Star Citizen. Your Star Citizen number is probably like 3 digits. Mine is 6. I got that 6 digit, that lovely. I think I'm like 233,000 or something like that. What ship would you consider to be the most like Star Trek Enterprise? In function? I don't really know much about the Enterprise. Maybe the 600i exploration? It's really small though. You need like a really big ship. Yeah, maybe the Carrack. All of these ships are too small to be the Enterprise, right? Most people saying Polaris or Carrack. Mixture of them. The Picaris. All right, 4.0. Mr. Big Patch, Mr. Name Dropper. You think you're a big deal? You think you're going to make videos for 7 years claiming that you're the next big patch and that you're going to change the game and then get here and maybe not? Let's see what you have to offer. First up, contested zones. Somebody actually just said in chat, like literally, I don't even think I have to scroll up to see it. Yeah, I do have to scroll up to see it. I lied. I'm sorry. There it is. Sudsman. Sudsman said that they're having a good time with contested zones. I will say, while I don't think I've experienced contested zones as they're meant to be experienced, they seem pretty fun. The little bit of conflict I've gotten into it has really given me a lot better feeling of working in a squad or working through difficult scenarios in more than just like a little bite, little 4-year-old bite of like these. Literally, the way that we play this game right now are like little Kinder eggs of gameplay. Just a little tiny thing, pop it in a wrapper, give it to a kid, they eat it in one bite. Just not that much. You go into a bunker, you clear out 10 people, most of them are dead before you even get there because the NPCs are shooting themselves, you know? It's like the FPS experience is very lackluster in Star Citizen. So contested zones have offered a more what feels like drawn out conflict. Oh, I love Kinder eggs too, you know? Like, that's why I still keep coming back, because they are yummy. They're just very small and glitchy and broken. And I'd like better NPCs, but that's besides the point. Contested zones, they hit a nice spot, and at some point when the game actually runs smooth enough for me to experience them fully, I'm betting they'll be fun, and especially when there's good loot to find. I like that they have kitted out weapons in there. Maybe you get some extra little things that you can't buy at shops. I think we should start getting better attachments that can be found in loot. So ultimately, I think contested zones are actually I hesitate to say one of the better parts of 4.0 just because it's very gameplay focused and offers a new way of experiencing gameplay, but it's not for everybody. This kind of location is definitely not for everyone, and it also does a little bit to diffuse the way that Star Citizen is formatted. Like, it's a separated section that is protected by an armistice zone, which, depending on who you are, is kind of going against what's expected from Star Citizen long term. Yeah, they're like dark zones from The Division. And they do a good job of being that, of being a specific place you can go for that kind of combat. I hope that that's not long term. Like, I hope we can still do combat everywhere. It's just that you know for a fact this is where people are going for it. But we will see how heavily they keep armistice zones on. Like, it's weird to have an armistice zone in Pyro, but again, we'll see what they do with that. We've talked enough about that at this point. Asteroid bases are the other location being brought in with Pyro. And I've not been able to confirm, but somebody said these are actually the same in each location. Anybody in chat, can you make a statement about that? Or anybody in comments watching this after the fact? If these are the same in every location, I'm going to be pretty disappointed. That's not cool. They said that? Okay, I've got 2 different messages in chat. They said that, and I don't think they are. They said the initial releases will all be the same. Dude, that's pretty wild to me. If asteroid bases are all the same. I mean, we've seen their tools with Houdini and Mighty Bridge and Rastar. Just like all of the different ways they have to procedurally generate at least the same rules with different layouts. Have been around. I'm disappointed by the fact that they're all the same. Cool that they're going to change later. That's good. But at least for this initial release, it would have been nice to have some variety between them. I'm assuming at least what's inside has variety. The loot, the weapons, the enemies. Yeah, they shoot you when you try to land, which is interesting. What I haven't been able to figure out with 4.0 yet is really how much your rep can influence that kind of stuff. I've gotten shot at by gangs. I don't know what that was about, but it would be nice to know that certain space stations are fair game and certain ones are off limits depending on your reputation. They still haven't really confirmed that for 4.0, I don't think. You've gone in the same door on 2 different bases and they were completely different. Okay. Well, I hope. I'm fine with them being the same on the outside. It's the inside that's important. What if they say, oops, here's 5.0? I don't think there's going to be a 5.0. The only reason we knew there was going to be a 4.0 at any point ever was because of server meshing. The only reason I can imagine them doing a 5.0 would be because they decided dynamic server meshing needed to take that long. But I don't think we'll go that long to get dynamic server meshing. Like, the different major numbers that they picked, they weren't arbitrary. They didn't just come out of nowhere. 2.0 was not just 2.0 because, yippee, we decided to ship 2.0. 2.0 was literally the launch of the persistent universe. 3.0 was the creation of planets. Like, those were not small steps. So 4.0 is the implementation of server meshing, right? New star systems. They haven't even made apparent what 5.0 could be based on. Trying to think, we knew about server meshing by 3.0. Yeah, it's major tech. I don't think there is any more major tech like server meshing. Houdini is great for auto generations, but not great for complex meshes like stations. Most of them have to be manually configured. I mean, I'm as with most things, I'm going off of what they showed us. Check this out. And maybe what you're saying is still true for this application I'm about to show you, but they've actually showed us They were like, here are the application we use for Houdini in Mighty Bridge. Procedural generation of space stations. So, like, that's the only reason that I wouldn't know about Houdini being used for this kind of stuff if they hadn't shown us, but they show us these kinds of things. So I'm like, oh, okay. That's the tool that they would use to make diverse locations rather quickly, but then they bring in asteroid bases and they're not diverse. I'm like, well, why didn't they use that tool they showed us? But as is being said, maybe it is just the outside that's the same and not the interior. 5.0 due to dynamic server meshing, Terra, and the main storyline. I think the only one that would make sense would be dynamic server meshing, because Terra and the main storyline won't be introducing major tech. That's just more planet tech and factions and stuff that benefits from dynamic server meshing. But if we were gonna say Star Citizen will continue at the same pace, we would have to go, I would assume that we would go at least 10 updates before hitting a 5.0. Like, I don't think they would go to 4.4 and then jump to 5.0 because they hit dynamic server meshing. Base meshes can be generated, but the interior physics need to be manually configured in the engine. I get that it's work, but so are Pyro space stations and distribution centers. Like, what I'm wondering is why, like, wait? I don't know. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait to drop them in if they're not diverse. It's simply, I know there might be reasons for why they didn't make them diverse. I am disappointed that they're not. If they're not. Haven't confirmed. Shouldn't judge an asteroid by its cover. Someone said they were all the same, and people took that to mean a perfect copy paste, and the hate train rolled down the hill. I mean, I was speaking to somebody the other day who's been playing in them, and they said that they've all been the same that they visited. But again, it's not confirmed. That's why I'm asking you guys. When do you think we will reach release of Star Citizen 1.0? Oh, dude. I would at least 2027, 2028. When did 3.0 start to have different space stations? Wouldn't it be the same for 4.0? 3.0 didn't have space stations. They didn't bring space stations into the game until 3.3, I believe, to branch, yeah, right here, small rest stops. This was to branch the jump between Crusader and Hurston. We see 4.24. I guess it's possible, you know? But it took us, what, 6 years to get to 324? I would say 4.15, 4.16. But we could probably get close. I don't think they ever sold us on the idea that these asteroid... I don't actually... We should go back to what they talked about with asteroid bases. That's a good point. Because I would be interested in knowing what was the marketing around asteroid bases. Was it really that grand? Let's see. Ah! I always do this. I'm sorry, guys. Shame on me. Very bad at YouTube. It's rather this new service for me. It's a weird YouTube thing.
And every door is giving you different things to...
Let's see. Asteroid bases.
Pyro has a number of asteroid clusters, They are the newer, larger asteroid clusters, so they should look and feel very different to the ones in Stanton.
Asteroid bases for us are really trying to take advantage of our universe better in terms of the locations that we have. Space is big, space is massive, but for our game, often we don't take as much usage of it as we should. We're taking procedural asteroids and we're carving these locations into it. And we're really providing a lot of variety in the gameplay in a form factor of space.
Essentially, we're utilizing the station interior set that we have created, and we're wrapping them around an asteroid, a big asteroid that allows us to be a lot more versatile.
So they're using their space station interior set. So like they've got the assets for this on the interior. The reason I would be so disappointed if the interiors were all the same is because I would not be surprised at all if they aren't. Like I go into this expecting them to have diverse interiors because they've got the assets, they've got these tools to make these locations. It just makes sense to me. And that's why I understand if the outside is the same, because that's more of the new side of the asset here. Yeah, they're doing some art and stuff here, but in terms of connecting hallways and rooms together, they've been doing that a while, and they've got that kind of architecture in the Pyro space station. So it's the outside of the asteroids that I'd be like, okay, maybe that art-wise, they all look the same. So we'll see.
With the kit that we have and create some interesting layouts for you.
See a little gun glitch there?
And create some interesting layouts.
Little oops moment.
For you.
Asteroid Base gives us the opportunity to create missions where you can be in space, and then you have to go on the interior to...
See, all this stuff looks very similar to the Pyro space stations themselves, so I imagine it was easy enough to use some of the art assets from that to make these new locations as well. It's just more diversity of locations in Pyro.
Continue the mission. We made a little twist of the bunker, little space where we can have some missions, but in space.
Sometimes we could start with ship combat. You could have heavily defended areas on the outside.
This is pretty nice, and it makes it sound like the asteroid bases are going to just be kind of like more intense and diversified versions of the 890 jump boarding mission we have, which is one of the best missions in Star Citizen. So don't get me wrong, I'm interested in this stuff. What did they say about
enemies outside on the landing pad.
Some of them even have copion infestations.
That should be fun.
That should be fun.
Asteroid bases are not just for combat. Because they're procedural asteroids.
Tell that to the turrets outside.
One of the things that's really cool about them is we can have multiple routes into these locations. So players can EVA and enter through a vent hatch. You could find your way in through a hangar. You could go straight through the front door. But there's a lot of room for exploration, finding loot that's been hidden there with loot crates, and find certain items that are important for you that you want to use to progress through Pyro, things that you haven't seen before in Stanton.
Can you tell us what that is?
No, I don't want to spoil it.
God, I hope they're the Volt weapons. That'd be perfect.
As a baseline, we wanted to bring Pyro up to par with all the content that we already have in Stanton, but also make it unique. We believe that with the addition of contested zones and asteroid stations and all the other little
So they don't really talk about the idea that they're all diverse. Like, I don't think they're very... From what we've seen of asteroid bases so far, I don't think this is inaccurate marketing for these locations. It just feels like they're basically like, yeah, we're going to put gameplay inside these new space locations, but they don't necessarily say what that gameplay is outside of the fact that you'll be doing combat, you'll be able to explore and loot stuff, and you'll be able to entrance from multiple locations. Is the new Pyro armor only lootable? Probably. I actually don't know. Maybe you could buy it at some place in Pyro, but I imagine you can't really get it outside of Pyro. That's for sure.
Unique aspects that really make it feel different from...
What will Volt Guy do then? Shoot, they're going to bring us more weapons. FPS weapons. It's time for us to get some again. We haven't gotten FPS weapons in this game since, I think, 3.12. You guys know how long it's been since the weapons team has been so set on Squadron 42 stuff? You have to come all the way back here to find some weapon deliveries. Let's see, is it here? No, not even here. Here we go. These are the last time weapons were added. In 2020. Please bring the Vault guys back. Bring the FPS team back to the PU.
A lot of effort put into them. There's a lot more diversity now inside and outside of the stations, both in terms of visuals and design.
Asteroid bases and contested zones for us are two really exciting new location types that we're bringing to the fans for Pyro. It's not a global event, so it's long term. It's always going to be there. You can come back.
It's the best part of it.
Cool stuff. Advance your progression and have fun with your friends and your party, your orgs, and have a great time in Pyro.
Oh, there's somebody on Spectrum who keeps asking when they're coming. That's pretty funny.
What else do
Okay, so that's just wanted to go over asteroid facilities real quick there. The rest of 4.0 is, I mean, you guys know, it's very much focused on, can you all collapse yourselves? Oh, I'm gonna have to do this for all of them now, huh? Ugh. Okay. The rest of these, stop it. So many updates, man. The rest of this stuff is very focused around Pyro. So you've got Pyro 1, Pyro 2, Pyro 3, Pyro 4, Pyro 5, Pyro 6. 6 planets, which we've never received. The most we've ever seen in an update. Like, I think this is a part that's, because Pyro has lost so much of its pizzazz taking so long, this stuff doesn't really matter that much to us anymore. It's like not as big a deal. We've only ever had one planet dropped in an update. And when Microtech was dropped in as a new planet, it loaded the game so heavily that they had to remove one of the other ones. For those who weren't around during 3.10-ish time, we had Delamar from the Nyx system was one of the first places you could land. Little planet asteroid kind of thing. And they had to straight up remove it from the game because the game was just, it did its job, which is what they said. They were like, we just wanted it to be a place you could land for all this time until you could land other places. But they added all the Crusader moons. They added Hurston all its moons, ArcCorp all its moons. It wasn't until Microtech came in that they were like, okay, this game's getting heavy. We're going to remove Delamar so you can keep adding more stuff. So it was just like one planet at a time. They're about to add 6 planets at one time. And not as novel anymore. I think a few years ago, if they had actually hit their goal for 4.0 in 2020, this would have been crazy. But now new planets are not that interesting. It's more the gameplay that comes with them. They mooned us. So we're getting 6 different planets. Most interesting, I think, among them being Pyro 4, which is actually in orbit around Pyro 5. So you get these amazing views of a planet within proximity of a planet. Whereas normally you just get a planet within proximity of a moon. You get some nicer looks like this. Let me see if I can actually... Dyrus. I recorded some footage of them. Nope. That is footage for a video. That is also footage for a video. You guys are probably gonna see... Actually, you've seen all these clips. Yeah, all of this stuff is stuff from the video I just published. Somewhere in here, there is some gameplay. There's Yogi. There is some gameplay of Pyro 5 and Pyro 4. It's beautiful. Yeah, so because you have a planet next to a planet, you get a different vibe because they both have very noticeable atmospheres. This planet normally has rings, so you see that. And then on top of that, you see this other planet. And then because this is a planet, you can see its moons in orbit around it. So you see these little white dots. So just amazing freaking views. And I think a lot of the Pyro system is like that. It's a very beautiful place. It's definitely eye candy. And then obviously Pedro Camacho has put in music to make it take 2 steps up in quality. So beautiful place, good addition. But ultimately, this is just space. The real benefits of Pyro coming in are these contested zones, the asteroid bases, and these outposts, which are the other point of interest that we're going to see. These are nice. I think they're much bigger and better than the outposts we already have. Biggest thing that I'm noticing with these locations is that they bring in multiple locations. So you get one central hub kind of town, and then you'll get like antennas over here, a power station over here, maybe another meeting point with a building and some landing zones out here. They're all like a couple kilometers distance. So you can tell that there's more of a move towards centralized hub gameplay on planets and in locations, rather than sending you from one planet to the other to run missions. These outposts make it very clear that's the direction we're heading, which I think is going to have people doing more gameplay and less traveling. Pyro space stations, we've talked about a little bit. They include the contested zones. I think these are cool space stations, but honestly, I think they fall short of what I expected from Pyro space stations. Like, they're big and they've got some cool inclusions, but likely a lot of what makes these stations cool or nice isn't in game yet. Being able to find missions in there, being able to explore the back alleys and like the cold hallways and find loot. Like, if you go to their older explanations of these stations, the concept art gives you this feeling of like, this is a very large interior space, and you'll be able to go and explore it and find random people that are kind of camped out in this space, almost to the point where they're living off the grid and people don't know they're in their station, but that's just how big the station is. And the way they used to talk about it sort of gave you that idea. Seeing if I can find any of those videos for you. I think they're partially there, like they're getting there, but I still don't quite get it. So if you look at this map, it shows you how the heat is supposed to work here, and you're supposed to notice that this is the warm place where people are, and this is the warm place where people are, and this is a very cold back hallway where nobody is, and you can find other stuff there. But when I'm walking through the station, it feels mostly uniform in terms of the scattering of NPCs. So you don't get that idea that this is an abandoned space station and there are dangerous corners here as opposed to corners where everybody spends their time. It just still feels kind of like in Stanton, where the whole space station is the same and you just run around it and there's people left and right and all that kind of stuff. So I'm guessing some of that comes down to the AI and the way the AI works. I think they don't have enough loot to make it really feel correct. And I think they probably put a lot of the work they were putting there into the contested zones, which were not likely a plan back when they were showing us this concept art. Because you look at this, and this definitely feels like it belongs more in a contested zone, but it also, this is 2021, back when they were talking about space stations being their own self-contained thing that didn't have contested zones. At least that's not what they told us. So I hope they continue to improve. They probably will, but at least right now, I think they still feel quite bare. And of all of the things we're seeing in the Pyro system, the space stations feel the most similar to the ones in Stanton. I'll say this, they're much bigger. The interior is much larger, and there's more space to move around. But in terms of what there is to do, still feels quite similar, and I think Pyro itself will still feel quite like that, even in 4.0. Because yes, we're getting new locations and new things, but what I've been saying throughout this whole time is like, these outposts are great. They show that they're being built in a way that is meant to diversify that gameplay, but that's not quite there. I'm like, yes, these are new outposts and they have different local locations that they're going to have local missions in, but I'm not seeing the local missions yet. So until that happens, that's what really starts to make it feel different. Running around new locations feels good, but you're not necessarily playing the game differently yet. And I think that the outposts and space stations both have that kind of vibe. But hold your horses, because down here in gameplay, they talk about new missions, location repair. They said, implementing new missions that introduce engineering gameplay into the persistent universe, first appearing in Pyro's outposts. Players will be tasked with going to the location and fixing wind turbines, relays, moisture extractors, or solar panels. This is done by repairing pipes with the or Multi-tool, charging batteries with the new charge drain feature, or replacing broken components in the network that are broken or missing. There's your difference. If they can release this feature in these missions to these new outposts in 4.0, then yes, these new locations will actually, I think, feel tangibly different if there are enough missions. But I don't think these are going to be at space stations still. So stations still have some work to do, but the outposts could be receiving some of these localized missions I've been talking about. I saw one of them pop up when we were doing gameplay the other day. Remember, we were hanging out in 4.0. But then we fell through the surface of the planet, so we couldn't tell. What else would they add to space stations to make them different from what is in Stanton? I think one of the biggest things that Pyro space stations should have are locations you can't enter without correct reputation, which is something that we know factually they want to do. They showed us this at CitizenCon. This is talking about reputation in space stations. They gave us slides that talked about how reputation would cut off different stores and stuff. So it's stuff that's happening. But again, like I've said, what we're seeing right now initially isn't having the same impact that I think it will when these things are included. Another thing that I think would help the Pyro space stations feel more different is going back to the footage I was showing you. The expansiveness of them, the fact that they are abandoned, leaves a lot of, like, these sorts of... There's so much space to these. Even the size of the stations are much bigger than Stanton's. So I would expect there to be more of, like I said, these sort of cold, abandoned back alleys that you can just sort of see. And I think what ended up happening was they moved those colder back alleys that you might want to explore into the contested zones. So I think contested zones weren't really part of the initial plan of these space stations, but over time, they decided they wanted to make central hotspot locations that people could know they can go to for the gameplay they're looking for. A bit of a shift, to be honest. A bit of a vibe shift for Star Citizen, I think, for some people. But not unheard of, not something that we didn't know was coming. If you go back to a talk that Todd Pappy had with Jared.
You ready to see your
I've done it again. Go back to a talk that Todd Pappy had with Jared in 2020. He talks about this a little bit. Let me see if I can find that spot.
And then as far as, even just how the fights play out. So let's say you and I are fighting PvP, basically out in the middle of nowhere. So, and if so, then yeah, then I think it should happen there. Then we also obviously have like abandoned space stations and Jumptown and these
Korea, the hotspots.
Exactly. So we have certain hotspots, within the system that I still think they're 100% valid, and that people should be able to go there and try that out.
So what he's saying here is basically they want to have some kind of risk always involved in Star Citizen. 90% you're safe, 10% you're at risk in a system like Terra. 10% you're safe, 90% you're at risk in a system like Pyro. What he's saying is, even outside of that idea that those things can always happen, they want to have hotspot gameplay areas that players know for a fact, hey, I'm introducing a friend to this game and we want to go and get into some fun gameplay in a certain type of way. We are going to go to a contested zone. That's what they're aiming for here. And I think building that philosophy into these locations, into these asteroid bases, and specifically these space stations, is what introduced contested zones. And it's why the Pyro space stations maybe don't feel as huge as they did when they were first talking about sort of how they would form, and this idea that there'd be back alleys, but still have these abandoned locations that you can explore and you can do all that stuff. It's just that they want to make sure that it's still a danger area. But That being said, I think there's still work going to the Pyro space stations that'll make them work a little better. Oh, AI, this is a lot different from what was used to make Crisis. Anywhere CIG has an elevator, you're at risk. Off topic, when do you think they will make co-pilots viable? Co-pilots? Do you mean AI co-pilots? Let's see. Space station. So here's the moons. We had the the planets. They've also got some moons included. Around Pyro 5, you got cows. Sorry. New missions. Jump points are a big one. This is obviously jump points and server meshing are what the whole point of 4.0. That's why they took so long with all of this. And this is like, at the end of the day, this is the only thing that is confirmed will actually come with 4.0 for sure. Everything else can be kicked if it needs to be, as engineering was. Most of this stuff is confirmed location-wise. Not these. It's weird that contested zones are not confirmed, but the Pyro space stations are. I wonder if they'd actually split those up. And then the mission system refactor will be important, and we don't really know much about what's going on there, but that will hopefully help missions run better and not fail and do the things they're supposed to. Unfortunately, we did lose the transit system refactor, which was also going to help a lot with like elevators and trains and stuff, but that's 4.0. So like not a huge amount of stuff, but server meshing is pretty big and important. Now let's look at past updates and how those were delivered, specifically the Q4 ones. Will they drop this patch at the last day possible, December 24th, and then leave? What have they done in the past? That's that will be, I think, it's going to be interesting to see what they try to do. Are you the only one that wouldn't really care if they postponed 4.0 until they actually had everything in that they said they would, rather than rushing it out to just say they released it on time? You're not the only one, but I think everybody has a little bit of a different view of it. I don't think they're necessarily pushing it out to say they released it on time. I think they're pushing it out because they just want to like release it and move on and get it tested. At a certain point, you've got to be like, okay, we've worked on this internally enough. Let's just get this into the public so that we can make some real progress on it. And I think that's kind of what they're hoping for. It does help, obviously, with them releasing it this year to say that they released it this year. But I think at the end of the day, they kind of just want to have this in player hands. But I think plenty of people would be willing to wait for it. I think a lot of people probably sit in the boat of like, put it open PTU in December and then just let us decide what we want to do. They did boost the amount of credits you get with missions. The economy's gotten some work with 4.0. That's something that's not on here, by the way, is there's a big economy update coming in 4.0. Not another 318. To be quite honest, them postponing 4.0 will not stop another 318 situation. 318 happened because they couldn't get enough people to test, which is the same thing that's probably going to happen with 4.0. But I don't think the same thing will happen with the way that they were released. Server meshing, luckily, is not as touching as many backend things as the database was in 318. But also, 318 was delayed. It was supposed to come out in December. And instead of releasing it like 4.0, they delayed it until March. And it came out in April, and then it broke. But throughout all those months, it was fine in PTU. So the same thing could happen to 4.0. I don't think pushing back 4.0 will stop that. I think it's more how they open it up and how many people they can get on OpenPTU to test it. They have changed econ. I mean, what is economy? Like receiving money for missions, the cost of commodities, the way that commodities change price based on their location. What else do you need for an economy update? I'm not saying that's all that's based on economy, but those things definitely affect the economy of the game. What are they doing from all the testing we've already contributed towards? They're probably fine-tuning server meshing. I don't know for sure. Question is, are people testing or making videos from the shiny and dropping out? I mean, I think people are probably doing both. Part of what testing is this stuff is literally just playing the game. So if you're in there making videos, as long as you're putting load on the system, that's helping them get data for it. .4 live? Not right now. It's about live demand, producing, selling commodities, products, reflecting in prices for resources. It's actual economy. Right now, the economy is static for the most stuff except fuel. But you just said the economy. So that is acknowledging there is an economy. And by updating prices and supply and demand, you are putting a economy update out. Hey, what's up, Drazen? Pricing and mission rewards doesn't equal an economy. SC is pure inflation economy. Y'all get really, really stuck on semantics. I'm not saying changing the pricing and mission rewards is affecting the whole economy. I'm saying it affects it is part of the economy. Like this is it's very simple. If there's money involved, then it has to do with how money is used in the game. That's all I'm saying. People are wondering when they get into cargo hauling, you know, how does the money, let's say it's not an economy update. Okay, I'll spare you guys the pain of that. They're doing an update on supply and demand of commodities in different locations that sell and buy for different prices. So that's not on the release view, but I do think that makes a difference for people who are looking for a little bit more diversity in their industrial stuff. Do I feel Pyro makes people want to multi-crew more? Not Pyro on its own, no. I think the biggest thing that will get people multi-crewing more is more dangerous AI out and about. Not just missions, but like random AI flying around. They're adding new commodities too. Oh, that's right. There's some like over 100 commodities in the game now with 4.0. I think it's wild 4.0 is 6 months overdue and they still pulled most of the gameplay features. You should join us back in 2020. 4.0 is technically 6 years overdue. Try open 4.0 PTU if the servers can't handle it to fix problem before they send it to live. That's what I think they might want to do, yeah. Tonight's build a major chunk of the available missions. Yeah, the current mission's too easy. Let's jump back to some of these updates, because I told you guys we were going to look at timing of update releases. So, let's see. We got 4.0. Okay, so what I need to do is May, March, April, December. So 3.16, yikesies. 3.16 came out in December. Yeah, 3.16 was released at the end of December 21st. And it really didn't include too much stuff, to be honest. Because it kind of capped off the progress that was made from 3.15, which changed a lot of stuff. So in 3.16, we really just got derelict locations. It's kind of the only real thing worth note. 3.15 was like the big inventory change and all of that stuff. So 3.16 was actually on 3.15's code base. And not that unstable, so they released it on the 23rd. Let's look back at 3.12. December 17th. If they pushed it live today, they'd have 10 days to hotfix into a good state before vacation. Not 10 days, but 14? They definitely push these patches out later than you would expect. 3.12, is that even on here? No, they just go back to 3.13. Where's 3.12? 3.12 had a very interesting update. But it doesn't actually let me see it. Here we go. Historic updates. Okay, 3.12 went live on December 17th. Went to Evocati on the 1st of December of that same year. But if I'm not mistaken, I think there was a 3.12 update on the 24th as well. .12. 3.12.1. When did that come out? February 5th. So that wasn't the one I'm thinking of. Was it a 3.12.0B? Is that what it was? 3.12.0B came out on the 17th. Okay, so that wasn't it. I might be thinking of a different year, to be honest. December. Ooh, way back here. All right, 3.12.0B. Okay, yeah. So they released 3.12 on December 17th. And then 1 week later, they hot patched 3.12 with 3.12.0A in order to make it more stable before they left for holiday break. So that would confirm then on, what year was that? In 2020 and in 2021, they released patches on December 23rd. In 2022, they released a patch on, I think also the 23rd or the 24th maybe, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, 3.18 was released March 10th. When was the PTU though? Was the 23rd a Friday in 2020? Let's see. In 2020, the 23rd would have been a Wednesday. In 2021 then, I guess a Thursday. No, in 2021 it was a Friday. So, or sorry, no, in 2021, yeah, Thursday. In 2020, a Wednesday. So they released in 2020 on a Wednesday, the last Wednesday before Christmas. In 2021, they released on the last Thursday before Christmas. But that was a hot fix on top of the patch they had released a week before. So they definitely are open to doing quick patches in December to fix things up if they do, but it sounds like it needs to release at least by the end of, that would need to be, it would need to go up by the end of next week for them to do another hot fix. When did 3.18 go to PTU? I know it was in December. I don't know what the specific day was. Anybody remember? December 5th was Evocati. Yeah, I'm not seeing any PTU days. Just find the Board Gamer video that announces it went to PTU. 3.18 Wave 1. So December 19th-ish. So in 2022 then, they released 3.18 basically around next week, at the end of next week. So the most likely scenario I'm seeing is next week, if they're going to release it, because that would then give them at least... No, I'm sorry. That wouldn't even work out. I don't think they would do something the 23rd or 24th of this year. So I think that would leave them to the 20th. So it might actually be like they need to release by the end of this... by the end of this week if they want to be able to do a hot fix. Oh boyo. Conium, glad you liked the videos. Thanks for dropping by. Even if they did a late next week release and then work the weekend, that only gives them 2 to 3 days. Yeah. Late next week might be a one and done kind of patch. I don't know. They might actually want to try and get, I would say at the very least, open PTU by the end of this week. That, dude, their timeline's not looking good. You don't think the priority is playability? It should be. hold up. We could put that underneath. Should freaking playability. Ugh. Thank you. Yeah, I think honestly their best course of action is open PTU at the end of next week and then just wait until you come back to push it live. The new things from 4.0 was cut for that reason. Did you just come in here? Because we just spent like 40 minutes going over new things from 4.0 that haven't been cut. Come on now. What are the major blockers? You know what? That is a good question. I think I had the current patch notes. No, I didn't. I had the patch notes for 3.17. Let's see. Star Citizen 4.0, PTU, patch notes. Hopefully we get the ones from just yesterday. Wave 2. Oh, come on now. It's so hard to find these things. It's a CIG. I mean, I will say this. I hope that they focus on playability by using 4.0. So I don't want them to wait on 4.0, but I do think that they should probably push it when most people can play it. They need the Guardian to sell. Yeah, I mean, I imagine they want to try and sell something by the end of this month. They probably absolutely want to push 4.0 by the end of this month, but it just does not look like a good scenario. Nope, nope, nope. If we were at this point 2 weeks ago, then yeah, maybe, but like, they're cutting it so close now. Which is unfortunate. What are the big blockers though? Let's see. I think what it feels like to me is the when you get to a populated area, that's when it feels rough. Everything else in 4.0 feels fine. Flying around. Granted, I fell through the floor, I think. That was a problem. But once you get away from populated areas, it feels okay. Most of the problems I've been dealing with are problems that I deal with in live. So it's nice that it doesn't feel like they are problems that are particularly linked to server meshing, but we also don't know how server meshing complicates the game to cause those problems to pop up. So it could be server meshing, not really any way of knowing. $3.24.4 to sell the Guardian. Ew. Sick. EPTU has been nice and smooth the last few nights, so I've heard. Hello, Baltzen. Your entire play group is on the wait for 4.0 train, so you really hope that it comes out good. I would highly suggest they do a wait for 4.1 train, actually. Like if you've got people who have been waiting to get back into Star Citizen because of the 3.x branch of updates being not great, I don't think 4.0 is going to be the patch for them to get in at. At the very least, I think a 4.0.1 would be better. But as we will see with 3.0, God, I've taken forever to get to that point. As we'll see with 3.0, even that update, like the stability wasn't great for a little while after release. But what we can see from some of these past updates is that previous December patches were not necessarily the last day possible. A lot of times they would be released a week or so beforehand, and then they would try to throw in a hot fix of some sort before they leave for holidays. But I do wonder if they would be willing to try and put this out live on the last day and then also not leave for the holidays. They're in such a tough situation right now, and I don't think we're getting a lot of the anxiety that probably is internal. But with where they are, I think they're really hurting to need to get 4.0 out, and they really want to, and I don't think they have much of a, they don't feel, at least maybe, like they don't have much of a choice. Thank you very much. Pushing it. Holy crap, did somebody just gifted subs? Oh my god, Zayeth. Stream Santa has arrived. Dude. Zayeth just comes in here and like literally doubles the amount of subs we've seen the whole month. Go. Dude. Thank you, man. It's good to see you, buddy. It's been a little while. How have you been? Thanks for hopping over on Twitch and just absolutely wrecking the daily goal. That was the first... No, that was not the first sub today. Poutine Barbecue subbed up. Said, thanks so much for the giveaway. I'm super happy. Keep up the good work. Glad you've been enjoying it, dude. You've been putting your new vehicles to the test. Mr. Barbecue, long time member of the chat here. Won the giveaway, the last one. Hope you've been enjoying them. They got too much flack last time for the overtime for CitizenCon. I don't think they'll do that again this year. Dude, they get flack every single year for everything. I think they're immune to acting based on flack. Mostly. Sometimes they seem to pay attention. Starting to worry about dev burnout, especially if they work over their normal break. Some will burn out, I'm guessing. Oh, we do have Luminalia coming up. They might try and do something for that, yeah. Hopefully 5.0 is great sometime. Do you know if after server crash mission stays in 4.0? I have no idea. I haven't played. Birthday stream on guess Friday. Why not next Monday? Yeah? Okay. It's my birthday next week, guys, so we're gonna do a birthday stream next Monday. I'll come on and celebrate and eat stuff and like shoot off parties, and I'll probably stream for longer so that I can, I don't know. Yeah, Mrs. Tomato, come join. It should be a good time. But yeah, it's gonna be my birthday. It's weird. It now sneaks up on me, which is just strange because I used to love it. So come by, come drop by, say hi. Old fart. This is your first year, Rocky Raccoon. What do you think so far? Hello, Batgirl. Feel the game is dead to you? Haven't played in... Whoa, whoa, what? Whoa, whoa, what's going on? PK. PK, what is wrong with you? What happened to it? Where did that dart go? Why is PK always the one that wants me to... Dude, Zayeth comes in here and drops like 50 subs and then PK gets me shot. How's that for love? Ah! Oh, that birthday party sound freaked me out. Ugh. Okay. All right. I just worked out. Relax. Hey. That wasn't too bad.
Sometimes it's really bad.
Happy 25th birthday. Do I look 24? Remove the limit of being shot for my birthday. Oh yeah, it sounds great.
No, I think for your birthday,
wow.
We'll make the shooting sub. If you sub, you can shoot.
If you sub, you get to shoot me. I think you should ship them the gun for that.
You should make some money for being shot.
Toes. You're used to battling wildlife to survive, so SC is no different. Nice. Okay.
Thank you very
Were there
much.
any other December patches that I needed to get? Dude, Zayev! He just dropped 50 more subs. The installments of Zayev. This f***ing guy! Oh my god. Holy crap. Just a reminder for anybody who's getting one of those subs, we do have a supporter exclusive video coming out this week about CIG hopefully increasing the size of planets and why I think they should. So if you are a sub, you get access to those. Make sure to use that. Give a huge thanks to Zayeth. Zayeth, you got my big thanks, dude. Appreciate you. I hope to see you at our New Year's stream for the cruise. Okay. Yeah, we'll give away stuff at the New Year stream from Luminalia. Understand your perspective. I can only say that from your own perspective as a dev in the industry, you often work way over 200 hours a month, not necessarily because you have to, but mostly because you enjoy what you do on one hand and because you want to get stuff done on the other. Some people also want to get paid. Like, sometimes you don't do a personal life. Some people will sacrifice their personal life during a month or two to do that kind of stuff. Some people don't have a personal life. Some people would prefer to put time towards the work. Well, some people have a personal life that's very minimized. Hey man, your priorities are you. Honestly, with a project like Star Citizen, if I've been working on this project for 8 years at normal time, and we got to this point where 4.0 is about to come out, and I'm like, do I work an 80-hour week to make this happen after these 8 years, or do I chill with what I've been doing? I would absolutely put in so much extra work during that time just to make sure that we got the thing. What's up?
CIG just messaged us about Luminalia.
Oh,
A minute ago.
nice. CIG just sent the Luminalia email. Good timing. You hit at least 50 hours a week most weeks. Our work is it's all over the place. Sometimes we'll work like a 30-hour week because of what's going on. Sometimes it'll be like more of a 50 to 60 hour week. Just kind of depends. Like CitizenCon week was a ton of hours. Javelins for everybody. Yeah. Paid per hour versus paid on completion is rough. Oh, that is rough, yeah. That's very rough. But I get it. Technically, we are paid on completion doing this, right? Well, I guess we're not really paid on completion. We're paid on whether people like that completion. Like, we can do the work, but if that work doesn't sit right with you guys, then it's not. Yeah. Yeah. The pay is like a month, lags like a month. Yeah. Somebody asked, not sure if you are comfortable talking about this, but how much do you make on Twitch? Twitch is very all over the place because it depends on subs and people sub very differently month by month. Between 8 and 1,000, 800. Like a really good month would be like 1,400, and then yeah, our average is probably like $800 to $900 on Twitch. Yeah, basically, like the easiest way to do it is because most money on Twitch comes from subs, not ads, not bits. Those are like generally extra. I usually sit somewhere around 300 to 500 subs, and Twitch takes half of every sub. Not anymore. Because you passed the partner program, they only take 40%. So generally, you would be looking at like, yeah, $800 or so if you're doing 300 to 400 subs. Which is insane because some people roll in the freaking subs. Like the I think the top subs in the world, they're doing like 45,000 subs a month, which is nuts. Oh my god. I can't even imagine that. Twitch is probably like, the pain. All right. So we went through December patches. Were there any more that we didn't hit? 3.8 released December 21st. What happened in 3.8 time? Commission. Yeah, basically. Like serving meals. What do you think of the 400 in its current state? I don't even know what its current state is. I haven't flown that ship in a long time. I like the 400i though. I can't wait to see it actually work with the gameplay it's supposed to have. 3.8, when did you release? End of December, it just says. It doesn't even say... Okay, December 21st they released 3.8. So they didn't even... Like, this was definitely a... We're going to release this and it's going. 3.8 went into OpenPTU on the 18th, and then it released to the live patch 3 days later. And it looks like 3.8.1 went to PTU in January. So that year they did not do a hot fix. Maybe 3.8 released well. This was when they took Delamar out and added in server-side object container streaming was the big one. But they did okay with this, but that was still the 21st. So generally the last patch comes after the 20th. Whether it is a hot fix or a major update, they usually drop it then. So I would say the most likely time that we will see 4.0 drop live, if it's going to, would be the 20th. And good chance it just goes to OpenPTU. Star Citizen is your favorite tech demo of all time. I think I agree with that. Got to experience a very cool tech demo when we went and visited JPL. It's like spaceship stuff. But I put a lot more hours into Star Citizen, so I think I could agree with that. Can we gift you inordinate amounts of PTVs for your birthday? Only if you promise to join me in game to drop those PTVs en masse on top of New Babbage. Like, I'm saying, we gotta crash this server. If you're gonna gift me those PTVs, we gotta do something important with them. Silly question from a new player. During IAE, there were a bunch of ships on the site store. You were looking to buy the Caterpillar. You procrastinated, and now it's no longer there. When can you expect the Caterpillar made available on the store again? Thanks in advance. Chat might be able to answer this one better. I don't follow the sales that well, so I don't know when the Caterpillar particularly would be back up for sale. Vastin, you know that one? There's like a sale in February, isn't there? In a year? DefenseCon Invictus Week? It might be May. You might have to wait until May, yeah. Late May. Have you warmed up to the Intrepid yet? Especially with the module upgrades or incoming variants? I've always been warm to the Intrepid. I'm not crazy about the looks on the exterior, but the ship itself I quite enjoy. Part of Star Citizen's problem is not YouTubers every patch playing on empty PTU servers saying performance is amazing. It comes out and it's not and super buggy. I fall for it myself. Load out, load up, and log. I don't know, do YouTubers... I don't know. As a YouTuber, I don't say the performance is amazing, so come chill with us. Maybe you'll get better messaging. But I would say the best thing to look at is probably talking to people in Discord servers. The average person. Or just look in the comments of YouTubers. Because those YouTubers, they get put on their own special... CIG exclusive server, right? Like they play with the celebrities and stuff. They bring in Mark Hamill and Mark Strong and Gillian Anderson, and then they set up a server for YouTubers and streamers, and they don't even play on the live servers, right? YouTubers. Yeah. I get my own. Wow. Why is mine always breaking? Why do I always... It felt like the game legitimately did not want me to leave the space station the other day. Was that Chris? Personally? You don't have the money for it right now, but you hope the Scorpius goes on sale in store again. Invictus Week, Scorpius will probably be on sale. But yeah, you could buy the Caterpillar in game. You'll get the Caterpillar in game well before you can buy it in the store, so that kind of works out for you. !org, by the way, or Discord, if you guys want to find a place where you can like get good feedback on what's going on with this game. Do people have a lot of time to game during the holidays? It goes day by day. It really depends on day by day. Not as much as during the summer, but quite a few people are staying home. Kids are off school. Yeah, between Christmas and New Year's is good. Looks like Twitch chat's not working. No, I think Twitch was just a little quiet there for a minute. Yeah, don't buy it in game before 4.0. Buy it in game after that. Okay, where was I? I set up all these tabs for us to get through, and we're like on tab 3. Sorry, we're talking, we're chatting it up, which I like. That's why I like Mondays. Thanks for hanging out, folks. Let's move on to 3.0's launch. 3.0 came out in December of 2017. It was a very similar situation, actually, to what we're seeing with 4.0 right now. The crazy part about it is that 3.0 was similar to 4.0 in that it was told to players that they would be seeing 3.0 pretty soon. It was CitizenCon of 2016, I think. CitizenCon 2016. You could go back to the infamous Sandworm demo. And listen to what Chris was saying. So this would have been October 10th of 2016. Imagine if this happened at CitizenCon 2023, talking about 4.0. I don't think it's too hard to imagine that, because this is basically what happened.
Whether it's in space or on foot, sort of fun, quick, easy to get into, much better than...
Wow, that's very quiet.
Today,
that sound they used to do is just not great. Twitch chat is not working, can't write in Twitch because this has failed to load module. I'm sorry to see that, folks. Hop over on YouTube if it's not working. See if we can get it figured out. Why do we always need to go back to 2016? Because 4.0 and 3.0, man, they're like that. All right. So what were they saying about 3.0 the year before launch?
To date, and I think that's kind of important so people can sort of have fun and play while we're working on this bigger epic.
It's so quiet.
There we go. And so I'm just going to walk you through, before we get to the fun stuff, kind of our roadmap. Obviously, we talked about 3.0 back in Gamescom, which is sort of the first kind of, you would consider, yeah, that's, I wouldn't say it's what Star Citizen the final game is going to be, but a lot of games, if they had those features, they would be very happy. Which is, going to have trading, cargo, piracy, smuggling, mercenary, bounty hunter, which we talked about. We're going to try to, get the Stanton system in there fleshed out. It's going to be using the Planet V2 technology, which I am going to show you very shortly after I've gone through these slides, which I think you guys are going to like. And, in 3.0 we'll have...
So they were trying to do updates to basic professions. They were trying to roll a new star system out more in line with the size of the game. New missions, new vehicles. Fairly similar to 4.0. And I'll say this. I think the main difference between 3.0 and 4.0, and this is what we'll go over after this video segment, is that 3.0 was a definitive cutoff. For those who feel like we've been in a drought since 3.23, now obviously the standards are supposed to improve over years. I'm not saying it should all be the same as it was before, but when 3.0 was planned, the time in between this update, this segment, in October 10th of 2016, all the way to the actual launch of Star Citizen 3.0 in December 23rd of 2017, the time that we now would have experienced between CitizenCon last year and now, there was no content. They didn't drop any updates for us. It was, you sit on what you have from this presentation, and then we give you 3.0. And the biggest difference between what they did there and with 4.0 is that with 4.0, they've split a lot of that stuff off throughout the year and released it, or probably for good cause, in other patches. So like, if they had done everything that they wanted to in 4.0, we would have been screwed. There just would have been too much new stuff. Everything would have been broken. But imagine if they had done the same thing. If they had stopped after CitizenCon of 2023, and they said everything that is in 3.22, 3.23, 3.24, and 4.0 will all come in one patch. Distribution centers, character customizer, the cargo refactor, the arena commander stuff, these new places, the freight elevators, the cargo changes, the new missions, the Mobi-Glass, the map, the looting system, interaction, EVA, reputation, pyro, space stations, ships, vehicles, all that stuff. If they had just taken that and put it in 4.0, that was a pretty significant change from what we're getting now, because instead of just holding off everything for an entire year like they did with 3.0, they released stuff as it was ready. So I think that both puts a big hit on 4.0, makes it feel like a smaller patch comparatively than 3.0 was at its time. I also think it makes the wait for 4.0 a little bit easier, but it also emphasizes the similarities of what these two patches were trying to do, if you assume 3.23 and 24 are part of the 4.0 branch. But if we go to 3.0's patch notes, where these are all being released, you'll see people's reactions to it were pretty funny. People called it the PowerPoint update. This person was pissed. I don't know how to say this, but I've been looking forward to 3.0 for months now. I was even tempted to upgrade to a Hull C, but the last 2 days have been kind of a letdown for me. It's not the performance or the alpha aspects of the game that worry me. It's some of the design decisions. Sound familiar? Dude, I swear, some things never f***ing change. And I don't expect them to. As the game continues to be developed, more and more people will be both pleased and unhappy about design decisions. I wonder what was going on. Let's see. Navigating 7 coordinates using the whole Mobi-Glass mess is just so cumbersome. Awkward even. It's like using some old Nokia phone where you had to crawl through 20 submenus and fiddle around with a lot of buttons just to access a basic feature like your camera. I'm wondering, I don't remember how much the Mobi-Glass changed in between 2.6 and 3.0, but that's I don't know if it became much more difficult to use. Interesting. The Avenger's $60, I think. In 3.0, just setting a course to a landing site on another planet means 2 minutes of fiddling around with strange zoom sliders, clicking on a target, getting the out of reach block, selecting another target, clicking and fiddling some more, and come on. Okay, so that's right. Before 3.0, basically to quantum travel, you would just point somewhere with your ship and then go. And that's because there weren't that many quantum markers, so you could very easily just pick it out from your HUD while you're in your ship. After 3.0, they added a lot more locations, so they made it so you go to the mobiGlas to do it. But that's still kind of true, right? Like, people still don't really have a great experience selecting quantum travel destinations. And I was hoping that'd be fixed for 4.0. All of it requires to zoom in until your nose touches the instrument because the projected HUD and cockpit visuals just do not work. It feels like gaming with 800 by 600 resolution 15 years back. Is this the future of high fidelity gaming? I hope not. So there were problems back then, as there are, as we do. We love problems. We go through the problems. We dwell on the problems. We thrive in the problems. We stew in the problems. And stewing's good for tomatoes. Try it. Great flavoring. Somebody said deploying over Christmas. That's bold. I would be damned to just copy and paste the actual same comments from the 3.0 release into the 4.0 thread because it's like the same stuff. Like, everything that they're saying is so on point. This comment literally says, yeah, I understand them wanting to keep the hype train rolling after the Squadron 42 up stuff, but the game just isn't ready. I swear to God, somebody said that in chat just today. I love this. We're repeating history. This person said, the glorious 8 to 17 FPS with major stuttering. Sorry, you talking about 3.24? Granted, thank God, and this is not hyperbolic. We were actually getting single-digit frame rates when 3.0 came out. Like, they took a year to release this game, this patch. From talking about it to releasing it, they took a whole year, and then when it came out, it was absolute trash in performance. We were actually averaging 8 to 10 frames per second. It was awful. Up until we got object container streaming a solid 7 months later, 8 months, 9 months later, we got object container streaming. This is what made the game run better. It was so bad when 3.0 came out. And to be quite honest, I don't think 4.0 is going to be that bad when it hits. I think it'll be rough, but not like this. That's not hyperbolic at all. This person said this is pretty much untestable with 50 people on the servers. The game was barely running with 50 people. Sub 10 frames per second is impossible to play. They need to consider limiting the server populations until they can get better performance. Otherwise, nothing is going to get tested. Sub 10 frames per second was very much the case. Maybe they closed it already? They opened it on Friday. You could paste this entire page and not a single person would notice. Yeah. This person said, I can't even play, like 0.25 frames per second. Guess I'll wait until further code optimization, which took 9 months. This is a mistake. After all the hype CIG gave this patch, it is not playable. God. No one new to Star Citizen should even attempt to buy SC for 3.0 or even consider buying it for years to come at this point. Great for the rest of the backers, but I implore the community to not sugarcoat this game or try and get new people interested when you won't even get above 6 frames per second. Vassen, this is all about 3.0. What's up, Believe? Hello, Brazil. How you doing? You like the word hyperbolic? Come on, you should know this by now. I love it even more when it's used as a noun and you can call it a hyperbole. Let's see, more reports of 12 to 15 frames per second. This person's saying they couldn't get above 6 frames per second. Here, this person's saying 15 frames per second. This person's saying, have the FPS been fixed now? And this person said, should get fixed close to release, about 5 years from now. Yikes. Did they do a Q&A or are you? We're doing our own Q&A here. Why tomatoes? What's the story? I was already going to by a name similar to tomato in the Star Citizen community, and then was kind of posting and stuff, and then over time Mrs. Tomato was like, hey, you're pretty good at this, you should like do it more seriously. And we figured there needs to be a name behind it, so we just took the name I was already using for certain things, and we were like, let's throw space in front of that. That'll make it very space themed. And thus the tomato. I don't know why I originally picked tomato for the name that it was before that, because I've never been crazy about tomatoes. I'm like allergic to them, and even before that I wasn't super crazy about the taste. So it worked out because you knew I was never going to be a cannibal, right? I'm not gonna let you guys know what Mrs. Tomato's saying. From SC testing chat just now with player feedback on the recent changes to ship claims in 4.0, we've re-added torps, bombs, and missiles to ship insurance claims. Oh, they made people mad, huh? Yeah, that was 7 years ago, Timber. You'll find a lot of comments like that too. I'm sure I've made comments like that in 2018. I was probably like, yeah, come back in 3 years when it's all done and ready to go. And here we are. But yeah, this is like, it's all very much talking about poor performance and just a not great release. We were essentially lied to because the reason for delay for 3.0 was supposed to be to fix performance and polish. It takes 30 minutes to launch the game and then 12 minutes to stand up. What is the point of releasing something that is that unplayable? And then this person said, so they can say they released in 2017 in order to avoid the delayed again. It's been over a year, bad PR. Dude, we're reliving history. Somebody actually said this today, and it's very, very possible reason for them trying to push it out this year. Granted, thank God it hasn't been over a year. Well, okay, we could take a step back from that statement. It's been over 6 years. Person said, why is it so broken? I mean, like, you guys get the point. I won't keep going. We can all see the 3.0 launch was almost exactly the same as the 4.0 launch, both in the idea behind it, what it was doing for the game, the anticipation, the expectations, and most likely the performance. But I do think that just like with 3.0, within a couple of updates of this, the game was running better than it ever had before 3.0, and it was a much more enjoyable experience. Obviously, it was still not great because we're still playing a situation that is not terrible. But many of you have probably heard people say that this game has gotten worse over time in terms of performance from other things. And I think that's just because of the load that was added on with planets and all that stuff. I genuinely think that after 4.0, stability will take a step up with Star Citizen. Maybe not right at launch. Might take them a little while to get like a couple of hot fixes in, but I think that overall server meshing is going to help this game in the same way that 3.0's technology did and object container streaming did. I just think we might have a couple hard spots. For that reason, I don't know if they should go live with this month. I think they should definitely go open PTU at the very least, but Still not really much knowing how this is going to release. I just think it's very interesting to see what 3.0 looked like and then extrapolate from there. Bunch of different variables, but it's still a fun little thought experiment. Even compared to 2 years ago, it's way better than right now. Need to get this out the door and move past the PR nightmare. I think they want it to be a PR success. I would want 4.0 to be a moment for us to bump up the funding, get a couple new people in here, give people another look at Star Citizen. The average person only checks in on Star Citizen whenever it really blows up in news, right? When Asmongold does his reaction, or when Squadron 42 releases real gameplay, when a new funding milestone gets passed. Even then, the news doesn't really spread very far. 4.0, I think, will be one of those moments where Star Citizen's reach goes further out into the casual, more regular gaming community. And I would want it to look at least somewhat decent. I would definitely want it to look like it's something new compared to what I've been showing people for the last 7 years, and that means showing the jump to Pyro smoothly, and showing some of the gangs in Pyro and stuff, showing why this is actually a different kind of update. Server meshing's cool, but it's not shiny. It's not going to convince people. So many of us have been on the road to 4.0 this year since 2020. Yes, tired of that road. They scammed their financiers too many times with too many ships. So that what? What happens because of that? Yeah, I saw the updates about the insurance claiming with ships. I don't even know what the drama was about that, to be honest. What we don't want to do anymore right now is play the live build. Are you saying that's why they should push 4.0? A lot of people have consistently said they won't believe in the project if they can't get meshing right. I get that. Meshing is very important for the way this game works, but I don't think... I'm not talking about people who are fans of Star Citizen when I say that. I'm talking about people who are looking forward to Avowed, or this game, Exodus, or are playing Fallout 76, or finishing their third playthrough of Baldur's Gate. I'm talking about your average player who occasionally looks into the news around the gaming industry, but isn't following Star Citizen clearly. If you tell them, yeah, they got server meshing in for 4.0, they're going to be like, okay, what does that do? Well, it allows you to go to another star system. All right, I did that in Starfield. What's the point of that? Well, it's seamless. Okay, and why is that a benefit? Like, you have to still show somebody who's not obsessed with this why it matters that there's 4.0. I don't think 2025 will see Castro or Terra. Maybe Nyx. Maybe. But I don't think we're gonna, no, definitely not. SC's revenue numbers are driven by hype. I think partially, but I think if anything, this year has proven that SC's revenue numbers are driven by a good game. The good game experience gets people spending more money. Hype too. But the state of Star Citizen definitely affects how much money they make. Can't wait for bounty hunting. Yeah, that'd be sick. Bounty hunting would be cool. Oh, I was supposed to record stuff there. Crap. Geez, best luck to editing on this. New people aren't joining and old backers aren't buying more except during sales. No new people to dupe, so they nerf the OG ships to force upgrades. Are you saying that they've scanned so many people that new players aren't joining? Because I could show you new players joining. I think somebody just told us that they joined last month in chat. Hello, Polite. Master Modes killed PvP desiring pop by protecting role players. There's no more excitement. Master Modes is dead. Can we please stop? I would like all people who love to come into this chat over the last 6 months to tell me how much Master Modes has ruined the game and caused an exodus and made people fled, to hear me here. Hear me now. You were right. They went back on it. We're done. Yes, they did it. You guys did it. You got them to reconsider master modes, and we're going back to a different flight model. So we don't have to complain about it anymore. Ah. Thank God. You joined during Invictus this year, and 3 of your friends also joined during Invictus? Yeah, I mean, people are definitely still joining the game. I would say it's not even the right time to join, but people are. Old school guys are warning everyone else. There used to be a massive waves of new players. Those days are long gone. I love people who talk like this and they're like, the old school guys know. Like, there's not a bunch of old school people in chat who are not... I'm not old school.
1 year into the project.
See, now it's gone from new players aren't joining to now there's not massive waves of new players joining. And then when there's a massive wave of new players, it'll be, now there's not as many massive waves of new players. At the end of the day, it's all dependent on Squadron 42 coming out. Lots of hype for single player with so many actors. I hope Squadron does well. I hope that it, yeah, I hope it gives them a nice boost and people can feel a little more confident about it too. It could have been hover mode. It could have been hover mode. You're right about that. 450,000 new players this year. Down 35% from last year, no doubt. Less people than Seminole year is not the same as no new people joining. Yeah, they definitely have less people coming in this year. And there's some good reasons for that. Definitely less hype, less of them meeting their goals, less attention on the game overall, less progress than expected. Zayas, shut up. Yeah, we're going to be looking at Exodus today. We aren't really going back to any flight model. It's just a fine-tuning of master modes. I've said my thoughts on it. Everybody is free to interpret it how they'd like, but in my opinion, we are going away from master modes. Now it's QQ mode. Psychosis, thank you so much for your good input. That was probably one of the most useful things said in chat today. It doesn't work like that. They'll find something new to complain about. Luna Maria, you sound like you've been through this before. Hmm? I don't know. It's been a tech year and less gameplay year. I'm not gonna lie. This year has fallen short. I think I've been pretty vocal about that too. Like, I'm not sugarcoating the fact that this year was much slower than hoped for. And CIG, you can tell CIG themselves did not reach the things that they wanted to do. Like, I don't think anybody should deny that. I'll have a video about that too. Gonna look back at this last year. I was kind of expecting to start doing that today. I wanted to do a long stream where we just look back at what happened this year, but I also wanted to look a little bit at this idea of 4.0 coming out. first. I still got to do a whole bunch of this stuff, yeah. Started to go down south when we didn't get vehicles on freight elevators. Oof, that was rough. That was pretty rough. The vehicles not coming on freight elevators. We still haven't even heard about that too. We are now cash cows. I mean, you might be a cash cow because you can't stop spending money. Have some self-control. I agree that they can't downsize this, but I don't know. I think you sound a little bit like you're spiraling in chat. It's okay for them to not do as well, or for people come into chat a lot and they're like, oh, they might not go mainstream, or they can't stick to their niche, or they're gonna have too much multiplayer or something like that. Like, guys, let the game be the game. Let it develop. Those things might happen. That is okay. It doesn't have to be mainstream. It doesn't have to be the best space sim. I guess, well, he said he wanted to do the best damn space sim, but like, all these things are okay possibilities. It's so much less stressful if you are here for the journey and want to just play the game, as opposed to like panicking constantly about what's going to happen to it. It does not do you your health any good. It's okay to talk about it. Just like, don't spiral. You're not sure you understand that the year fell short? Assuming 4.0 doesn't make it out in the next 3 weeks, we will have cargo refactor quality of life changes Polaris in 4.0. I'm not saying that they didn't put out good stuff, but it fell short. 4.0 was supposed to come out in summer. The preview channel was supposed to let us see hacking and quantum boost. And these things simply were not able to happen. And I think that was significantly less than they wanted to do this year. The game was the drama we made along the way. Oh, it's the best part. Yeah, the preview channel was not really used that much like it was supposed to be. No, they did say aimed for summer. 4.0 was supposed to hit summer. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to cut that off because we've been talking about Star Citizen quite a bit. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think 4.0, like, if you want to set your expectations, the best, I would say, you could probably set your expectations by default would be that they're going to release an open PTU next week and then keep that running alongside 324. But they might try to launch it live. I don't know. The longer they keep this, the funny thing is the longer they keep 4.0 in the PTU and don't go live, there is a chance that actually saves them money, because every month that they are running static server meshing and not dynamic server meshing, they're using more money. So it would actually be really funny if 4.0 just kept getting delayed to the point where by the time it was ready to go live, they were like, okay, next quarter we're going to do dynamic. Wouldn't that be the dream? Hit 60% of the goal, but won't lie, it's been a good 60%. Is it 60? Is it 60? I feel like it's not quite. I think if 4.0 comes out, then 60, yeah. But without an engineering, that's a big drop off. So yeah, 29 out of 56 is like 50-ish%. And I don't think this is tracking everything, but this is kind of a decent way to look at it. It's just like, there were some the engineering thing definitely is a big hit being dropped out of this year. And the quantum travel remake, I think. Man, if they had hit those two things, this would have been, I think, much better for them. Stop playing because of the wipe. Good call. Yeah, they do need the testing from live, you're right. Do you think they already know if they're releasing 4.0 live to this year, or are they just going for a last minute decision? I think they're going to push it last minute. Don't think peeps are ready for engineering, but I also play in a smaller groups of people. I think people all are simultaneously, some people aren't ready for the idea of taking care of their ship, for sure. But I also think some people are overblowing what engineering is going to do to some of these smaller ships. I think they planned on having a new ship available for Luminali. I'm not sure if it's going to happen. All right, friends. Whole bunch of Star Citizen discussion today, but we're going to shift gears. Can't do that anymore because we got an electric car. We're going to shift gears and take a look at this game that I've had my eye on for a little while. I think since last year. This is a sci-fi, sci-fantasy, space RPG, epic opera thing being created by a couple different devs from around the community. It's a full team. This is aimed at what looks like being a AAA RPG that plays on combat, plays on space travel, and it plays on time dilation. There's like some interesting details. It's like you get your sort of Mass Effect style game, but there's this whole thing of you travel faster than light. So every time you return to the place you're coming back from, everything has changed, which has kind of the energy I got when they were first advertising the first Fable, that you could like come back and this outpost you saved turned into a town and this plant you planted grew into a tree, that kind of stuff. I'd be interested to see how much they play with time, but I wanted to dive in a little bit with some of the details because they've released actually quite a bit of stuff on this over the last few months. They're going very in depth, and some of you might be interested in this. I think this will probably be something we follow regularly here on this channel or on the main channel. I'll probably stream this if it's looking good, and ultimately it has my interest. I'm not quite convinced on it yet because, yeah, I'm not convinced, but it looks interesting. Also, keep in mind, I know this affects some people. It is being produced, published, paid for, maybe, by Wizards of the Coast. So it is linked to Hasbro. And I know some people don't like that, but why don't we start out by watching the trailer here? This is a long trailer. Become the Traveler. 5 minutes long? Are you kidding me? All right, let's see what this is. Give you a better idea of what we're looking at. Please don't copyright me.
She was not only brilliant, but courageous. To save her planet, she was willing to sacrifice everything and travel to the stars. As a frontier world, we were barely hanging on. Desperate, we tried digging up our past to find the key to our future.
Max, we need to head back. There's too much interference.
Hold on, I'm getting a reading. I can't.
Max!
Why do I feel like their faces look weird, like their eyes are really big or something?
Max! Max! Max!
I'm all right.
What she found that day,
oh, perfect,
was a miracle. It would be our salvation. And she used that ship to explore the far-flung corners of the galaxy. A traveler on the hunt for celestial treasure.
Careful, Max.
The data
classic.
structure is incredibly
Hey, we're gonna make a space game, and you're gonna look for ancient alien artifacts. Original.
This is it. Tom, stay down.
life on the line to bring back artifacts to put us on the path to
Yeah, faces are a little off, right?
She risked everything.
No, this isn't a crypto game. This is a regular, not even competitor to Star Citizen or something, or Squadron. This is just an RPG. This is like a Starfield, Mass Effect kind of competitor, I think.
Time and again. But despite her bravery,
we need to have space games where we are the aliens leaving the artifacts.
lucky for us, she made it home safely. While she was alive, she was too humble to speak of her adventures. But at least we, her descendants, can honor her memory. Thank you all for visiting the museum today. And safe travels tomorrow.
What about today? No safe travels today? He's like, die on your way home.
Hey, that's off limits.
It's too bad. She's got magic. Or he. Somebody.
She was always charging headfirst
They.
into the darkness. I was always one step behind, looking for the light switch. The Celestials hunted us down. I knew they'd keep chasing us until they ripped our ship apart.
Come on!
And I had to save her.
Dude, these people don't even have their helmets on. What's wrong with somebody? Press helmet in chat. They would die so fast. Like, what if there's a pocket of vacuum in that escape pod? You don't know. Put your helmet on. I think it's just her eyes. For some reason, her face just looks really unproportional.
So, I led them away from this world. Away from her.
Disproportional?
We both knew the cost of using the gates.
Anti-proportional.
When you travel at light speed, time slows to a crawl. It was only days for me, but an entire lifetime passed for her.
So that's like, this is basically just explaining how the game works, but this whole idea of traveling at the speed of light and then passing a whole bunch of time is pretty centered to the game, I think. And I saw somebody say, yeah, this is the Matthew McConaughey space game.
And in the chaos of those final moments, we never said goodbye.
No, come with me! Wait! Please! Tom! I love you.
Maybe you should have put your helmet on. I think you're your own player in this game. Like, you get to customize a player. He's like, so you're old, huh? Got any cool pictures of back in the day? We don't know when this comes out. I'm thinking this is looking like a 2026, maybe 2027 kind of game. So they started teasing this a couple of years ago, and I think it passed from pre-production into real production last year. So actually, this might be more 27, 28. Not really, like, this. Can you even trust release date expectations anymore? So that's the trailer. It says a new AAA science fiction action adventure role-playing game franchise from Archetype Entertainment. Now, if we look up Archetype Entertainment, they've got industry veterans. That's what they like to. The big sort of thing that this is known for is like, oh, they've got some pretty big deal old BioWare people working on this, which is important to a lot of people. BioWare did good stuff. They're based out of Austin, Texas. Created by the Wizards of the Coast. They were supposed to make new intellectual properties like Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering. They've drawn talent like James Oland from BioWare, the studio head of, and Drew Karpyshyn, which I think was the writer for... Yeah, I think this guy wrote the Mass Effect games, the Knights of the Old Republic games. Yeah, senior writer on Knights of the Old Republic, senior writer on the first 2 Mass Effects, and he's also been working on the Baldur's Gate games. So, like, they've got good talent in leading positions here. James Olin is the lead at the studio, and he was the creative director at BioWare for 2 decades. He oversaw things like Jade Empire, Knights of the Old Republic, the Mass Effect games. These people aren't jokes. Industry veteran because you have to have 17 years. I mean, these people, they've got great names to draw more people, right? You get those tent poles. They've also got another former BioWare member, Chad Robertson, who was brought on board as vice president and general manager. That was in 2020. A month later, the writer came on board. He said, "My passion has been rekindled. The feel in this studio reminds me of my early days at BioWare. I can feel the magic in the air." So, like, I know some people will be like, "Oh, it's Hasbro. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to take care of it." But a lot of very successful things have been published by pretty crappy entities. And that's a whole other conversation. I don't think it's worth writing it off just because of the publisher. It's kind of like what people do with like Ubisoft games. And I understand Ubisoft is having some trouble, but the studio can make a big difference compared to the publisher. And we don't really know this studio. This will be their first game. So it'd be interesting to see just where this goes. But let's see. What's something to know if you're looking into this? We got continue the story. Talking lore, ancient ruins, returning to home, green worlds. Let's see what this is. Oh, this is like this is like lore stuff you can read through to, I guess, get some more of the fiction. Yeah, all of this is like little things that probably build out the universe, which I'm here for. I like that kind of stuff. I love reading the lore pieces from Star Citizen. But the thing we get with Star Citizen also is our ability to also at least try something. It's not a great experience, but you get to jump in and try it. So getting this lore isn't the only information you get. Let's see if there's anything else we can find out about this. Working at Ubisoft Montreal over there? Nice. How you enjoying yourself, Legion? Well, I heard quite a few of the Ubisoft Montreal folks came over to Cloud Imperium, or Turbulent. It'll be a fine example of why CR went without a publisher. Be interested in seeing. They're actively killing Magic the Gathering, D&D, and Nerf. I don't know what Nerf is, but what are they doing to kill them? That is a bummer if they are. Why are they doing that? Don't these things make a lot of money for them? All right, gameplay features. Intense action combat, they said. The fight for survival has consequences. I do like consequences. Look at this guy. He's mean. He's menacing. He's got fingers. The way of the traveler is hard and unrelenting. What if they were like, the way of this game is easy and relenting. Prepare. You've been a mocap specialist for 12 years. Now you're a gameplay animator, so you take no decisions. You make no decisions, just to clarify. Well, I appreciate the work you do, Legion. I love hearing about the games industry from folks like yourself. If you ever want to join our Discord and chat about that, I'd love to hear more. Anunzi, you said they're not. Let's see. So, mere survival will be a constant battle. What is survival? Why is it difficult? The journey of the traveler is relentless. We already read this. Skipping forward, rival human dynasties vying to claim what's yours. Monstrous creatures hunting you across perilous landscapes. Alien civilizations hostile towards your plight. Most dangerous of all, among the distant stars you may face the Celestials themselves. What is this? Some kind of advanced alien race that's been around for much longer than us and is related to the vast amounts of tech we'll be finding? Their intellect, technology, and weapons are far more advanced than your own. Okay. Surprise. Celestials. I wouldn't... At least make it sound like you didn't pull this from like somebody's literal space RPG starter guide. We're flying vast distances. We're what was the other thing they said that they were finding alien artifacts and fighting the Celestials. Okay. Constantly outnumbered and overmatched, you must rely on a combination of stealth, ingenuity, and firepower to defeat your foes using your unique genetic gifts. You must build an arsenal of weaponry and equipment that combines the best of human tech with salvaged celestial remnants. So this is very much a you're the hero story. I think we got that from the trailer already. And you are using the alien technology as well. Pretty standard, straightforward. This really didn't tell me much about survival though. I thought they were going to talk about maybe survival aspects inside the game. Not really allowed to talk much about your jobs, especially if you work on unannounced games. Oh, I don't mean like specifics. I'm always more interested in hearing like what is it like to work in the industry and stuff like that. How much does it help that Squadron 42 devs are working on Star Citizen now? It helps a little. We're seeing more stuff come over, but as we've learned over the last year from devs hopping in chat and from CIG themselves on their own public messaging, we're seeing less, like most of those devs are still having to do Squadron stuff, so not as much as they had hoped. Next gameplay opportunity, explore the stars. Exploration makes sense. The secrets of the universe are infinite, and a traveler's search for answers is never ending. And to save your homeworld, you must first leave it behind. Your epic journeys will take you across the systems of the vast Centauri cluster. With each exodus, you will visit uncharted and often hostile worlds in the hunt for celestial remnants. Whether exploring the ancient ruins of long-dead civilizations, okay, good. Mark it off your bingo card. Interacting with strange alien culture and societies, or infiltrating deadly celestial strongholds, you must unearth what has been hidden and rediscover what has been lost. Okay. Sell me on something. Progression. Okay, game progression. I began as a simple salvager, scavenging ancient tech from abandoned ruins on our homeworld. From these humble beginnings, I became a legendary explorer of distant stars and worlds, a traveler, hunting for ancient celestial tech and weapons. But you must become something even greater. Jun, not just a traveler, but something more. You've been blessed with unique genetic gifts that will allow you to control celestial technology in ways far beyond those of ordinary humans. You must learn to harness your powers and unleash your full potential. You must rise to the challenge and embrace your destiny. Humanity is on a path to extinction, and you are the only one who can save us. Okay. Time dilation. Here we go. As a traveler, your calling is to journey to the stars. Each exodus comes at a cost. Traveling at the edge of light speed opens the farthest reaches of the universe to you, but things will not be the same upon your return. The impact of time dilation is increased by the speed at which you travel. At light speed, time slows down. Days for you will become decades or even centuries back home, and all that you love and care about will change while you're gone. The world you fight so hard to save will be changing and evolving while you are left behind. To secure the future, you must sacrifice the present. This is the price all travelers must pay. Dude, what are they, like, what? They're not explaining anything here. Okay, extraordinary companions. Throughout your travels, you must always be on the search for potential allies, human or otherwise. From your homeworld, there will be those who share your dynasty's vision and flock to your cause. Among the awakened and the changelings, you may find some of your most loyal followers in the never-ending war against the Celestials. Choose the best among them to stand with you. No matter their origins, these companions bring unique skills and backgrounds that will prove invaluable as you face the uncertainties of the universe together. Whether you fail or succeed, it helps not to go it alone. Okay, this feels like if you were advertising Mass Effect in 2002. Like, years before they were like, okay, they're not even showing us who our companions might be. This isn't even like, here are the art assets for the companions we have. Here are their personalities or what they do specifically. These are actual just paragraphs that don't even describe the gameplay. This is almost lore. Star Citizen, this is like reading a Star Citizen ship sales page, but without the stats. At the very least with Star Citizen, you're understanding what you're getting from the ship in terms of like missiles and components and stuff. That stuff may change, sure. But this is like getting all of the spicy flavor text of the ship where they're like, this ship can fly from system to system, giving you your ultimate long-distance deep space probing fantasy. It's not dirty. And then nothing else. So, not gonna lie, okay, here we go. The Traveler's Companions. Oh, hey! Okay, we've got 2. Why not put those in the... Okay, weird. As part of your journey, you will be joined by a cadre of diverse and dedicated companions, each extraordinary. We look forward to introducing them to you in the coming months. That's better than it looked a couple minutes ago. Tom Vargas. Cool, he's got some art to him. Okay, we were learning things. Over the next 10 years, he traveled across the Centauri cluster, working as part of the crew on a variety of different missions. He learned to fight when his crew was killed. Then on a routine delivery to Lydon, he met and bonded with other travelers, convincing Tom to stay in Persepolis. This was the beginning of the transition to becoming a traveler. So this is one of our friends. And then this, Elise. Wow, this looks like she's trying to be, what was her name from Mass Effect 2? Nova? What was her name? The biotic girl. Yeah, I think so. Jax. That's right, thank you. Blunt, no-nonsense sleeper from the 23rd century Earth, Elise is an experienced mercenary weapons expert and former gang member. If Elise has your back, it means she's in front of you, clearing a path. She's the muscle you want by your side for any encounter across the cluster. She's a weapons expert with a biting, sarcastic sense of humor that disguises a deep-seated sense of loss. She still partially remembers Earth, and if she has a soft spot, it's her desire to find meaning in the fragmented memories she's retained of those final chaotic years before the Ark ships departed. So that's what we know of characters. The Celestials are... Oh, these guys with the shooting guns. So these are the bad folks. 25,000 years of evolution separate those now arriving in Centauri on Ark ships from Earth, eventually finding and following the green signals sent up by those first human inhabitants who found the Centauri cluster and claimed it as humanity's new home. Over the millennia, they have changed. Those early humans have been replaced by something more. Oh, so these are humans. These are just humans over 25,000 years. Could we change like that over 25,000 years? I guess if you just focus on your cheekbones. Right? That's all you just gotta shave and like make sure you get in them cheeks. So these are the bad folks. I guess they're not an ancient alien species. They're just more ancient than we are. What are we looking at? This is a game called Exodus. This is Star Citizen 2. No, it's a new RPG coming out. So we got our enemies, we got some companions, and we've got the Traveler, who is what we are supposed to be. You are June, the heir of Orion Aslan, a legendary traveler. Hunter of secrets and alien technology, inheriting the gift born of neural induction. You are able to interact with celestial technology unlike other humans. So it's a chosen one, hero story. Very much sounds similar to Mass Effect. I mean, that makes sense. Like, ancient alien tech, creating a gang of friends. They all have different powers. I think the most difficult thing to do with a game like this is build a convincing IP and a good story. Because none of this stuff we're reading really hits, right? It doesn't matter to us. It's all lore. We're reading lore, but the lore isn't important. And getting people invested in this kind of stuff through short stories, through the actual gameplay involved around them, through just like age and time and players being able to spend time looking at this is important. Or else you just look like another space game. For instance, I think the strongest thing that Starfield has going for it is the fact that they did effectively set up a pretty good IP that you can make more games off of in the future. Starfield, the first game, may not have popped off like people wanted to, but it still set the stage for a really good set of games, much like Mass Effect 1 did. And I think if this game is going to want to succeed, first they need to actually sell people on at least their plans for gameplay and like the uniqueness. I know they've had some interviews where they talk about the time dilation, and they keep mentioning that as the kind of how this game is going to stand apart, but they got to prove that out. This needs something to make it look more special. The thing I'm most excited for is just the fact that space games are getting popular again. Like, they've been popular here and there throughout the ages, but the 2010s were super, super quiet for space games. And I think games like No Man's Sky, Elite Dangerous, and even Star Citizen have done a good job of bringing attention back to the genre. And it's very possible we might not see RPGs like this if that kind of stuff hadn't happened. We might not have seen Starfield if they didn't think that people actually wanted space games. So I hope this does succeed, just for the fact that we could use more people in the genre getting excited. Games like this, if they are good, will lead people to other games that you play in the space genre, like Star Citizen. It's just a matter of people experiencing things in this game and seeing what it is they actually like. Yeah, if you take out the sales pitch, you basically just got a group-based RPG with time dilation and space exploration, but not really much detail outside of that, at least not that we've seen today. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, that is Exodus. Here's the timeline. The timeline starts 2200 AD, so in 200 years about. Fleeing a dying Earth, governments and other powerful organizations begin launching fleets of Ark ships out into the galaxy seeking a new home. Dawn era, several Ark fleets reach the Centauri cluster. 16,000 light years from Earth, they discover hundreds of densely packed star systems with thousands of potentially habitable planets. Send out the green world signal to summon the rest of the Ark ships. 24,000 years. Centauri's early history is marked by the violent rise and fall of interstellar empires. Holy crap. With the aid of genetic engineering, the citizens of these constantly warring cultures rapidly change and evolve. See, these are the interesting parts that'll get you more drawn in. That gives you chances to do trailers and stories that don't follow the actual main game, but look at the history. 30,000 years. In the aftermath of the Formation Wars, a powerful celestial species called the Elohim rise to prominence. The Elohim construct the gates of heaven, an interstellar network linking all the systems of Centauri, heralding in a new age of exploration and trade. And then 11,000 years after that, a long-lost human Ark fleet arrives in the Malakbel system and establishes a colony on the moon of Lydon, building atop ruins left behind by a long extinct celestial civilization called the Detenir. After 2 centuries of struggling existence, a human traveler named Orion emerges as the leader. So, technically, the ancient civilization are humans that have evolved over a couple 10,000 years. Not super long in terms of evolution, but long enough, I guess, to create some divides and some conflict. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on this. I just wanted to make sure you guys had a little update on what's going on here, because I think this could be an interesting game in the future, but still a little bit too early to tell. A lot of marketing, a lot of explanation. We'll wait till there's more to sink our teeth into, but hope you got something from this update. Oh, it's based on a book? Interesting. Maybe I'll check out that book. Okay, Google. Can you chill? Have I seen the altars? I have. Haven't looked into it a super big old ton, but it looks like an interesting game as well. Yeah, maybe we'll go over that too. That has more gameplay to look at. The next thing I wanted to look at was X4 has some stuff going on. So many of you may know X4. It's a single-player space game. I think it is one of the best space games out there, honestly. I'm not a huge fan of the graphics or UI, but this is the kind of game where you can jump into it as a solo cargo hauler and jump out of it having controlled entire fleets of NPCs doing the cargo hauling for you. You can set up an empire of miners, of cargo haulers, of combat people. You can control the economy and play around with it. All of it is dynamic. It's functional. It works very well. And it is a full game that's been out for years. And I think this is a great option for people who are looking for a single player experience and maybe think Star Citizen is doing too much to bring other players into your experience. Check this out. It's pretty solid. And they're about to get a very big update that we're going to go over in this video. So over the next 2 years, they've got plans. They've got a flight model change. The person they're working with actually helped to originally make Star Citizen's flight model, John Pritchett. So we'll touch on that. But ultimately, I think this update could mark a pretty solid chance for people to get back into this game if they haven't, or if you're looking for more space games, to give it a try to play out. We'll be playing it on stream for sure when this update comes out, and I hope to cover this a little bit more for you guys so you have some options. Not going to play any Matthew McConaughey Exodus videos. I wasn't planning on it. I didn't know there were specific videos about him. We'll touch on that the next time, though. Every space game is based on a book. Let's see what X4 is saying about their update, and then we'll talk about the possibilities of playing this one.
Hello, everybody. It's the time of the year again where I'm happy to talk to you about the future of X4 Foundations. As I've already said last year, we are far from done with this game. X4 Foundation is getting another major update, and we are going into a beta phase, public beta phase now. So you are all invited to help us test the game. And yeah, I'm here to tell you a little bit about what this is about and what our plans for the near future are. So this is an update that we hope to release in the first quarter of 2025. And the main new feature is a major improvement to the flight model. So we completely redesigned the flight model, which means the way ships behave, the way both AI controlled ships as well as the ones that you are steering yourself behave in space. And the goal with that is to make them much more realistic, make them feel more realistic, make you feel the weight of ships better. Yeah, and with that comes a major rebalancing of all engines, all ships, and all thrusters. So everything that relates to how
I think this is all. Is it all third person when you're flying around? Anybody who plays this? Because it does. It gives you more of an arcadey feel than Star Citizen for sure. I know people have been talking about how Star Citizen feels more arcadey, but I think the way that this plays will definitely have more of that kind of feel if that's affect your decision.
Move and feel in space. So that's a really big deal, and that's why we want to test this really.
Let me go ahead and put us on the actual channel because I keep doing this.
Hello, everybody. It's the time of the year to make them much more realistic. So that's a really big deal, and that's why we want to test this really thoroughly with your help. So please, if you have some favorite ships that you would like to see how they are behaving with this update, please test it and give us your feedback, because this is your chance to make your voice heard and influence what is going to be released in the first quarter of next year. With this comes also a couple of other new cool things, obviously, like we always develop all aspects of the game. There is an update to the graphic engine as well. There is new support for FSR3 and DLSS, which are cool new technologies to make the game look even better. especially at very high resolutions. But also on hardware.
Definitely modernizing.
Where the resolution is high in relation to the display you are using.
It's still like the art style for me is still not what I like. I think maybe it's the textures, but this does look better than I remember, which is cool.
At which you are seeing it. So, for example,
I'm a graphics snob. I'm sorry.
For this is also the Steam Deck, where I was testing it the other day, and it really helps make the game run in a very.
Well, if this thing plays on Steam Deck, then I might consider that'd be pretty cool to be able to play this on like a plane or something, because it's offline. You get the whole game right there with you. Take it on the go.
Very beautiful settings also on the screen of the Steam Deck. So that's also something where we are looking forward to receive feedback. The update has all kinds of other cool new features. We are improving all aspects, user interface, gameplay.
I don't like the UI.
A number of new settings.
Never liked the UI in this game, so hearing that that's getting an update, I hope that really, really helps. Yeah, Steam Deck makes a big difference. Having a nice, basically a space sim to carry with you if you're somebody who travels quite a bit. I don't know. I'm on planes a lot. We do 2 13-hour flights every year at least, so it'd be nice to be able to set up my cargo routes on that flight instead of just sit there staring at the seat in front of me.
Sectors, especially some that are connecting the core economy with the DLC economies from the Terran and Boron in particular. But yeah, changes all over the place, but especially we are looking for feedback on the flight model and ship behavior, so please test that.
Why do you think they never scaled up the company that makes this? This could have been a much bigger game, I feel. Like maybe scale it up and then make it possible on console?
Yeah, we also have released a roadmap with our plans beyond this update. So this is stuff that's going to happen late in 2025 or 2026. So check that out if you want to know what's coming in the future of X4 Foundation. So this is a great time to jump into the game for both types. People that are completely new to the game, check it out now. We've added in the recent past a lot of tutorials and support for people that are new and want to get into the game. But there's also a great opportunity for everybody to try it out again if you haven't played it in a while. Please check it out. There's a lot of cool new stuff coming. Yeah, we are really looking forward to hearing your feedback. So thank you all very much for your support. You know, this is the 25th year in the development of the X series. We've just
4 games in 25 years, not bad.
And yeah, we couldn't have done it without the support of this great community. Thank you very much for that. And yeah, we are looking forward very much to continuing this next year. And in the meantime, I wish you all, a little bit early maybe, already now, a happy holiday season and all the best.
Dude, these are cool environments too. There's a lot of variety in the places you're going in this game.
See you soon in the X universe.
It initially released as a bit of a flop. People weren't really considering buying it. Instead of just playing modded X3 scaled up, would have likely bankrupted them as opposed to their slow chug. So it's like Civ 7 or Civ 6. It's like people didn't consider it better than its predecessor. Did it end up improving so it's better than X3 now? Like, is this in a good place, this game? Do you guys see this going long term, or are they looking like they're in their last few years? They're doing great now. Okay. Good to hear.
Activated switch 6. Affected switch 5.
Hi everyone, I'm Alistair, game designer at Egosoft, and I'm going to dive a bit deeper into some of the things Bound talked about, specifically the flight model update. With today being the start of its public beta, we're inviting you to help us refine and polish it. It's been dear to our hearts for a while now to make X4's flight model more immersive, make those ships feel even more different to each other, and make flying itself just generally more interesting.
That is pretty cool. They're redoing their flight model. That's a big change for a game that's been out, what, 6 years? 7 years now?
This is a really big undertaking. for which we've teamed up with Mr. John Pritchett, a former senior physics programmer for Star Citizen. And now we're eager to share this work with you and to hear your feedback on it.
The variety of ships is also good. There's a lot of different ship designs here.
Model upgrade doesn't just change how ships handle. It transforms the way engines and thrusters and modifications, how they all interact with each ship, making each component feel unique and impactful. The first thing you'll likely notice is that steering and accelerating can now be a lot smoother overall, unless you're in one of those supercharged racing ships, because that's the beauty of the new system. We can create more precisely how a ship should feel and behave.
Actually, pretty nuts that they're going to go for such a thick flight model with so many different ships, and also the ability to change your thrusters and your power and stuff. There's a lot of customization here when it comes to ships.
Some ships now drift a lot more, which makes movement more challenging and increases the value of installing better thrusters. The handling of corvettes and heavy fighters can now be significantly different from that of smaller fighters. And as a result, they don't just fly differently, but they might also fight differently. Bulky transports are now slower to respond to your control inputs, providing a sense of this immense weight that you're propelling through space. While interceptors and scouts can now be really good at staying maneuverable regardless of how fast they're moving. Even at their highest travel drive speeds, they can still turn really well.
Wow.
There's more variety within ship classes too. Some light destroyers can now fly circles around their heavier counterparts.
Dude, this sounds really nice. The way they're describing it, I hope it ships like this. Anybody been playing the beta?
Comparison, this video showcases how the small Mark III engines differ from one another when installed on the same ship, a Chimera, with otherwise identical setup and traveling along the same path. As you can see, some of the engines now drift more noticeably due to their different power output, giving the ship entirely different handling characteristics.
Oh, they have a Star Wars conversion model for this? That sounds really cool.
The engines now feel different, not only per race,
yeah,
but also
single player
per
only,
and per quality level. As you can also see, the heads-up display now includes a new boost bar that depicts your remaining boost energy. Based on your feedback from a recent poll, boosting will now use this dedicated energy pool instead of draining your shields. We've also rebalanced every single engine's boosting capabilities and boost energy recharge rates to further increase engine variety. There are other great additions in this update too, such as new sectors that create alternative connections even to some DLC factions, as well as further graphical enhancements such as support for DLSS and FSR3. Make sure to check out our full changelog in our Steam news or on our forum. The main attraction though is the flight model, so if you are getting involved with the public beta testing, we'd be very grateful to hear your thoughts on this big update. In order to experience these new features and help us refine them, take a read of the instructions in the video description which explain exactly how to join the public beta. And please don't forget to back up your saves. While feedback based on your existing save game is also valuable to us, you will get the best possible overview by starting a new creative custom game and trying out as many engine and thruster and ship combinations as possible. The entire team here at Egosoft is eagerly awaiting your valuable feedback on our forum. And until then, I wish you all happy testing.
I hope that their UI update is bigger than they kind of let on here, because that was one of the things that really made me struggle with this game originally, is like the UI is just not super pretty. And that's coming from a Star Citizen player. Are we thinking 4.0 will come out before CIG goes on holiday break? We're thinking about it. It's possible. PTU seems very likely. Live, not so sure. It was part of what held original Elite players over during the great absence of major space sim releases. The game itself is amazing. The idea behind it, the way it works, I love all of that. The only things that really throw me off are the graphics and the UI. And I'm hoping I can look past those things. I think I want to try this out when this update goes live. Sounds like it'll be like a February, March kind of thing. Probably by the time that 4.0 has been maybe not something we're going to play every time we're streaming here. So if you guys are interested in this, let me know, even in chat right now, just if you want to see that kind of gameplay when this update goes live. I think I'll probably start playing this a little bit more because I like what I'm seeing from this. It's looking good. Where's Falling Frontier? I heard that was delayed again. We've been waiting for it a while now. I don't see any expected time. I think it's set to release in 25 though. Let's see, on the roadmap, they talk about the flight model change that they mentioned, rebalancing every ship, overhauling the flight model, adding new sectors, graphical update. That's what's coming at the beginning of next year. Towards the end of next year, it looks like they'll be adding in new diplomatic events and options, so new factions, new NPC mission givers and agents, I'm guessing. And then in 2026, they will be adding in space anomalies, improved long-range scanning, which is probably, I guess, exploration gameplay, and new missions. So we're going to see a pretty decent expansion of this game over the next year and a half. I'm definitely going to keep a closer eye on this. They also will have paid DLCs. Looks like a new ship for one of them. Don't know what the other is, but the game's healthy and it's working. And this is a single player space sim where you can play, and I don't think I said this clearly enough before, you can play as a single seat, a solo player who just hauls stuff and does stuff as you please, but you can also control larger ships like you saw in there. You can do everything you want to on those larger ships. You can even rent out other ships and put NPCs on them to fly them for you and do the missions you would not like to do. So you can create a whole cargo empire if you want. All of these things that people are talking about from Star Citizen, NPC crew, being able to control entire ships by yourself, an actual economy, a lot of it is here in X4 right now. So I would highly suggest people try this out, at least when this update drops, just to see if it's something that fits their view a little bit more. And that's it for my coverage of X4. You can also create space stations and manufacture goods. There you go. Yeah, at least wishlist it, see if it goes on sale. You're interested to give it another try with this? You tried X4 once, but found the controls to be really unpleasant. Hopefully the new flight model makes the ships more intuitive to fly. Hopefully, yeah, I hope it's a little better. They've got a lot of text here you can read about the flight model update, how it works. Obviously the mention of John Pritchett coming from Star Citizen. Down here they talk about mini DLC, more compact than previous X4 expansions, reimagining of a fan favorite ship. Diplomacy update will introduce a new room in the player's headquarters where faction representatives can gather and offer you strategic options. In addition to this room, players will have access to agents who can be dispatched on independent missions to achieve diplomatic goals in the X universe. So basically, you're going to be able to play diplomatic gameplay on a galactic scale using NPCs as your agents. Like, the scale of this is so far beyond what we're doing in Star Citizen right now. The highlight will be diplomatic events, giving players the opportunity to manipulate their own relations with other factions, and even in some cases between specific NPC factions. This would, I guess, then change your prices and the ability to trade throughout the game. Then we have the exploration update. Introduces new anomalies that guide players to unexplored sectors of the universe, each with unique and exciting discoveries. As development progresses, we'll refine the details around this overall theme, such as improvements to long-range scanning and a range of missions for discovering these new anomalies. It'll be an important part of X4's future. Then 2026, they'll have another major update, but they're not giving much detail on that. So for now, the public beta for this is open, so you can try this out if you want, but ultimately, I think around February to March, we'll have something interesting to try in X4. Diplomacy, exploration, a new flight model, graphics updates, some cargo hauling, and it's single player? If this had better graphics, this might have been the game that I went for instead of Star Citizen. I am glad I found Star Citizen, because I like the direction Star Citizen is going in more. But as far as a game to play right now, this seems like it's in a better place if you're not a snobby graphics monger like me. Overall, though, I think this is a solid choice as far as space games go. CIG just said with player feedback on this recent change, yeah, they changed their balancing on the insurance stuff. No FPS combat is that's actually a big one. That's a big thing missing from this. There's no planetary or FPS gameplay. So it really is a space game. And that's probably the thing that would make me not choose this over Star Citizen, to be honest. From your experience, X4 is a really complex game, not really the best for first-person flight. Can you even fly in first person? A Paige Shill couldn't say what he just said. Honestly, anybody who thinks that I get paid is... they are lost. X4, never heard of it. Worth checking out. This just in, X4 also paid me. But yeah, topic of the day, Star Citizen 4.0, and what the heck is going to happen with this. I still think that we are looking at a likely next week open PTU. And I'm going to stop my predictions from there. Because I don't know what's going to happen with this. The timing is very, very rough for them. CIG rolled back the ordinance change. Cowardice, heresy, put your characterization here. I have no idea. I didn't even know there was drama surrounding. I think I heard a little bit about how like missiles were expensive to replace. Cowardice, heresy. I don't know why they went back on it. But they listen to player feedback. People will often say they don't, but they do at times. I'm guessing the reason that they're not going to keep it here, and this is something that I would have imagined you'd realize beforehand, is you can make really expensive weapons cost a lot of money, but you still need to supply enough gameplay for people to make the money to pay for those things. So if you're going to take your Polaris out to go fight, and it costs, I don't even know how much, 14 million? How much did they say? No, 400,000 it costs to replace the torpedo. You need to make sure that there are enough missions for people to take their Polaris out and make that money back. And there's not really. Like, there aren't that many bounty missions in which you can justify using a torpedo that big and justify paying for it. So until there is, it probably doesn't make much sense to require the money to pay, because like maybe you just want to test it with your friends or do some org gameplay with the Polaris. Nobody wants to do that if they're gonna have to pay a ton of money to restock that Polaris that they basically can't make back by playing with the Polaris, you know? That's the point of the big ships. Sure, you can take a big ship out to do all kinds of things, but like if you can't run the missions or do the things that are required to pay for the upkeep of that ship, then the ship would be over time less useful. And that's sort of one of those boundaries you put in there to keep people from just like over-speccing a ship to go do stuff. So somebody can't join this game, buy a Polaris, and then just knock out all of their bounties one after the other, left and right, really quick. Eventually they're going to run out of money. It wasn't that it was too expensive, it was that you couldn't restock. Oh, really? Oops. They did increase mission payout a lot, but I still think there aren't enough missions built for the Polaris. You've got your Arlington gang mission, you've got... I think it's really mainly just your Arlington gang mission that makes sense. Maybe some ERTs. HRTs, whatever they're called, but I don't know. Can't you also make quite a bit by gathering rockets from wrecks? Yeah. Game the system, be the salvager. You can lose a fully stocked ship for no fault of your own. It also impacted other ships, so they will add it back in, but they need to make more features complete. I see. if you can't afford one, you don't get anything. So they need to work in more details. It's kind of like how they didn't put in the subscriber claiming feature for subscriber items because there were like details that stopped it. Starting a missile farm, dude. I would like to try that in 4.0 together, if you will. We just go around in Pyro and try and find abandoned stuff and see how many goods we can scavenge from around Pyro and then go back into Stanton to sell. It's dangerous work, but it pays well. Tomatoes Missile Emporium, where you can get tomatoes or missiles at your favorite emporium. Come on down this Sunday. I kind of just went from like a southern car salesperson to a WWE announcer in the space of a sentence. I think it's okay that there are fewer missions for capital ships. Oops. Otherwise, you get very top-heavy game where there are no sailboats, only battleships. I think it's okay, but I don't think there's support for it. Like, one mission is probably not enough for there to be Polaris regularly used. It's like how there are no missions and stuff to support an SRV. Luckily, SRVs aren't expensive, so you don't need that, but you don't see SRVs flying around very much because you gotta use them in sandbox environment to make them work. Are you looking forward to the start of Luminalia tomorrow? First of all, can I just say hello, Fast Cart? How you doing, man? It's been a little while. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you enjoyed some IAE. Did some ship exchanging. Had some good fun. Interested in Luminalia. Hopefully we don't get pictures of handlebars this year. An oldie but a goodie, that joke. They just need to make fighters an actual threat to big ships, so there's a little rock, paper, scissors. Well, I mean, certain fighters. Your fighters with your size 4s and size 5s. You want to be a dealer in 1.0? I want to be a data broker so badly. I want to be a data broker in my solo play and explorations, and then I want to run cargo, agricultural, pharmaceutical, and cargo empires within my org. And then, you know, let the org figure out their industrial and their security endeavors. We're going to have a whole security division of the org that, like, I'll peek in on, but it's not really my thing. I'll probably join them for a couple shipboardings here and there. But they'll be doing their stuff, claiming land, defending bases, all that jazz. Folks need to get over the fact that the day a light fighter can kill everything is over. Nonsense, man. Have you tried flying a light fighter into the side of a Polaris? Easy kill. You want the other handlebar to have a balanced set fast cart? I feel like that picture's got to be a rite of passage. You got to have a box of all the ridiculous things we went through during Star Citizen's development that we can gift to the developers when 1.0 launches, and that picture's got to be in there. For sure. What the most optimal suicide ram ship is for capital ship killing? Another capital ship? Depends. Can you arm the bombs in your retaliator without firing them? Just hit a ship and they all explode? It's a shame. That's a shame. It's a shame. That's a shame. All right, folks. We've covered quite a bit of this today. There's always more to talk about, but I actually do have other work to do. I've got to go get started on that supporter exclusive video for you guys. for those who maybe came later, if you are a YouTube or Twitch or Patreon or Ko-fi supporter of the channel, you get exclusive videos every month here on this channel, on the main Space Tomato channel. So if you haven't seen that, I would suggest going and checking it out. If you're not a YouTube supporter, you got to do that through Discord. But if you're a YouTube supporter, that's on the main page. And there's another video coming out this week covering my whole case for why Star Citizen needs to expand its planet sizes. Keep an eye out for that one. If you're not a supporter, I've got another video coming out, and it talks about a feature that for some reason CIG seemingly is avoiding. At least that's how I'm phrasing it. That's my narrative. It's that one feature that CIG won't talk about, and I don't know why they won't talk about it, but it's a very important one that they briefly mentioned earlier this year, caused a whole bunch of drama. They got asked a question about it at Star Citizen Live recently and kind of skirted over the answer without covering it for some reason. And I think it's interesting the way that it's not being discussed, even at the Star Citizen 1.0 talk. So I will be making a video about that, just to kind of talk about my feels for it and maybe ask them to say something about it. I know I'm not going to make a big difference, but maybe somebody will watch it that can say something to Chris or somebody and be like, hey, let's talk about this. Either way, expect that around Thursday. Not scanning, no, it's something else. As a hint to what this feature will be, it is a feature that every person in the game will use at some point. Not bed logging, but you're close. After that, I've got a feature that I think I want to put a video out probably about next year. The most important thing they could do in 2025. And then by the end of next week, hopefully I can get a video out for you guys about everything we experienced in 2024. Basically just a look at this year, a little summary of everything that happened, and hopefully a good way to inform people of progress that was made and maybe expected progress that wasn't. Besides that, I think got like my whole board of videos that we're doing back here. Besides that, I've got a video that I want to do that talks about what's in 4.0. Don't know when that will happen, but probably at the end of next week. So yeah, I'll do the one about how Star Citizen changed after that. So next week, what's in 4.0. Following week, what happened for Star Citizen in 2024. And then if there's any other news that comes out this week or next week, I'll probably have a video covering that for you guys. But I'm kind of starting to wind down this year, thank God, this last month. Basically since about a week or two before CitizenCon, it's just been like constant news and videos. So towards the end of the month, I'll be taking a little bit of a break and leave you with some silence. We'll still be streaming and stuff, but probably skip a few days of videos, or maybe a week or two. And then we'll be back in January with all the same stuff, going at it again. We've got some updates planned, me and Mrs. Tomato. Stream updates, branding updates, merch updates. She's working on a jersey for GII. And then Daymar Rally. And we've got some plans for content too. Maybe some short form stuff. Either way, that's me spilling the beans on everything we have planned coming up soon. Zayeth, dude, Zayeth, you tell me what merch you want, man. We'll send it to you. Holy crap. I do want to point out our socks are still available. And I believe Mrs. Tomato is going to do a 20% off discount for our socks. A little Christmas special sale. So we'll put an announcement out about that, guys, but keep an eye out. Really like those socks, value those. They're good people. They're good things. They're best friends. And they keep your feetsies nice. Bomber jackets, Jesus. Give me a second, man. Still trying to afford socks. You're wearing the tomato socks today. Heck yeah, Mihai, can you give us a quick testimonial? Because everybody thinks when you say socks, you just mean socks. But would you say these socks are a little bit nicer than your average sock? You'll pay like everyone, support the garden. I appreciate you, Zayeth. He's awesome, man. We'll get you the bomber jackets. Let us do the jersey first, okay? Okay. Nah, cheers, y'all. It is cold, so consider the socks. They do support us. It really does go a long way for us, and it obviously gets you some warmer feet for the winter time. Hope you all enjoyed today's stream. We've got a lot of exciting things to do over the next month or so, in addition to taking a little break from everything. But I will make sure we have more updates for you. Keep an eye out on the Discord for the weekly announcement from Mrs. Tomato, and just keep an eye out in general from our news drops and things coming up. Thanks again, everybody, for being here. See y'all on Wednesday. You're lovely people. Treat yourself well.
I'm fine either way.